What is going on? Gandalf Graham, you're back. How you
Ho
doing,
ho
Alan?
ho ho ho! I'm doing pretty good, although I'm getting cotton in my mouth right now, which is not a pleasant sensation. So this is going away pretty soon.
Well, it's good to see everybody. Welcome to another episode of Heavy Metallurgy, episode 190. We're just climbing up there. 200's coming fast and furious.
Couple months.
Thanks
Yep.
everybody for being with us another Friday. Alan, what's been going on?
Not much. It has been a quiet week. The weather has been miserable. We went from super rainy to super cold and windy. So yeah, just kind of a mess weather-wise, but tying up little loose ends, preparing for all the family onslaught of fun next week, and yeah, getting in one more heavy metallurgy episode before Christmas. So hello to everyone joining us in the chat. Good to see you folks. I hope everyone is enjoying their holiday season so far.
Absolutely. And before we get too far into it, just want to give some show notes, put up a Nile review, discussion.
No, not a review. That's more like a dissertation.
Dissertation, yes.
It's awesome. Yes. I mean that in the best possible way.
Professor Zoller held court. It was myself, S. Craig Zoller, and Melanie Loves Death Metal. Surprisingly, people are watching it and liking it. So, right on. You're all masochists, and that's fine. Wednesday Album Club was fun, too. We did Howling Sycamore. Check that out. And next week, Wednesday's Album Club will still be happening, and we'll be talking about Whiplash's Power and Pain. So come around for that as well, and more.
Wait,
shit to come.
You're doing an album review on Christmas,
or an album club? Yeah,
on Christmas. Oh, okay, hardcore
on Christmas Day. Yep, everybody's going to be home. Nothing else going on, so we might be one down. So now that we're a quintet, it'll be a quartet. So it'll be fine.
Good excuse to go hide from the family for a while if you need to.
And one last thing to mention, it's in the description as well. We started a Heavy Metallurgy Discord server, which is going really well. It's kind of reminds me of the old Metal Maniacs message board days. We got Simon and Logan are adminning it, so that's nice. And a lot of folks here in the chat are in there as well. It's good to see everybody in there. It's been a lot of fun so far. So, yep, go check it out. Lots of fun.
Good deal.
The professor will hopefully be making an appearance. They've been clamoring for the Firehouse channel on there.
Yep.
The Danger channel.
I may get in there eventually. Again, I knew with my schedule next week is just a mess. So it's one of those, if I try to get it going this week, I will just abandon it for 10 days. And I was like, I'll just wait and tackle it after things quiet back down after the holiday. But yeah, we only have one new release we wanted to highlight this week. Not a whole lot comes out this week.
No, there could have been, but we need to retool the whole new stuff segment. We'll put our heads together on that one. But I just want to announce on Binary Recordings, tomorrow, the 21st, is the release date of the new Canis Dearest album called By the Grace of Death. It's their fourth full-length album, and come check it out. It's streamed this past week on Decibel. So you can go check it out there. It'll be after this. I'm going to make it active on Bandcamp so you can listen to it on there as well. So come and get it. We got shirts and records. It's a good record. Maybe their best. So come check it out. And as far as that goes, that's it. Oh, Alan, you've got something to talk about as well.
Yes, just a reminder. We had last week we gave away 2 copies of Deserts of Hex #2. This is Hunter Ginn's zine, very in-depth stuff. I've sent messages to the 2 folks who won. Heard back from one of them, but they haven't actually emailed Marty with contact details. So if you got a message from me last Friday that you'd won one of these, just email Marty. The email address is scrolling right down there across the screen. Send him an email with your mailing address, and I will get these out in the mail after Christmas. I'm not going to try to do it in the next few days because that would be madness. But be glad to get these out in the mail to you pretty soon after Christmas. But you got to tell us where to mail them to, or I can't do that. So make sure you do send that. Again, you've got messages in your YouTube comments. One of you did respond with kind of a yay thumbs up, but you still got to email us your address, or I can't get it to you. And last thing I wanted to mention / show off, got an early Christmas present from the wife. So thanks to Mel. We've got the first Heavy Metallurgy coffee mug, which I will be drinking out of tonight. She built this. She built one for Marty as well, but Marty's is bouncing around in Midwestern post offices, so it hasn't arrived quite yet.
Welcome to the Finnish luck.
Yep. But yes, we've got the Necromantic Streams design on one side. We've got the big Heavy Metallurgy logo on the center. And we've got the Mark Riddick Heavy Metallurgy Skeleton Dragon Rider on the third side. So thank you, sweetie. Very cool Christmas gift. And I'll be putting it to good use tonight. And thank you to George for a little Christmas money in our stocking. Appreciate it quite a bit. You rock, George. Good to have you aboard tonight as always.
Good to see you, George. And yeah, that is a prototype mug. I've got feelers out to actually get some mugs made. So, and see that coming in the next month or two, hopefully. And yeah.
This is not going to work together, is it?
No.
One of these things has to go.
Your ears are crushed too. You might want to just lose the beard.
Yeah, that's going to have to go. Oh well, I've had my fun. So Marty, let's get our guest out here.
Absolutely. Returning for the 4th or 5th time. We love this guy. We love having him on. Our friend Duane Lazerrus. Welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Hey guys. Glad to be back. Hello to everybody in the chat. Got to say hi to Frosty, Ryan, Metal Overkill, Tony, George, Simon. Everyone's here. Glad to see you guys. Glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. Thank you
for joining us.
I got to get me a mug.
Yeah, thanks
for good seeing you.
As always. Yeah. And good to see you're also rocking the Christmas cheer, but you were smart and wore something on your head, unlike me, who tried to put something on his face, which...
Yes, I can drink my coffee.
Now I can drink...
The interruption of the lost battle of dental floss it looked like you had going there.
Yep. Well, it's great to see you. What's been going on at Channel Lazerrus? Not much lately.
Channel
I know you've been busy.
Has been busy doing Channel Christmas, getting ready for that is grandkids and kids and all that stuff just kind of take it up this time of year. But yeah, things are moving. I've been in, on a couple other chats, so people keep dragging me out of my my closet, which is good, keeping the blood pumping and getting some camera time. But as for making my own videos, I'm just behind. So at this point, I'm throwing in the towel till after Christmas because there's just no way. Too much going on, but it will continue for sure. I have lots to do, so stay tuned.
Right on. Well, tonight we've all gathered for a fun and easy topic, more or less, and I think this topic was someone suggested it on the Discord channel, and thought it was a great idea. And it's come up before, and it's something we've always kind of talked about. And I got to say, Alan, one of your finer moments in the thumbnail department. That. The Kiss tribute guys looking all old and haggard and weird. It was perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Fun, but odd and possibly kind of weird. And you're not sure if it's going to work out well or not. Kind of like cover songs.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's funny when you emailed that to me, Alan, I opened it up on my phone because I got the email while I had my phone. I wasn't at my computer. And so I opened it up and the image opens and I had to what is that kid? Oh man.
A bad cover.
I thought it was the band at first, and then I was like, whoa.
Yep. But yes, it's a topic that we've mentioned a few times, and other folks have mentioned because we cover songs come up in lots of different topics, but we've never really focused on them on their own. And yeah, they can go in a lot of different directions. Sometimes they turn out to be really fun and fantastic. Sometimes bands just copy and paste from the original. Sometimes they really try to reinvent the song their own way. Sometimes it works out, and sometimes it fails miserably. So there was a lot of seemed like a lot of fun. And hey, it's the last show before Christmas. It's a good time to pick a just fun topic for folks to enjoy.
Yeah.
But yeah, what are y'all's general impressions of cover songs? Marty, I think folks kind of know yours, but Duane, in general, do you enjoy cover songs on things? Do you feel like they're unnecessary most of the time? What's your general take on them?
my general take is sometimes I kind of dissect it when I realize that it's on there. So like when you buy an album new, and you didn't know that there was going to be a cover on there. When you discover the cover, hey, I made that rhyme. Sometimes I wonder, like, okay, did they do this song because someone in the band or the band themselves just really love the song and they want to pay tribute? Or did they need some last minute filler? Were they paid to do it? And then you listen to the track and see if you can figure it out. How good is it? Did they, are they making fun of it? Are they trying to do it serious? So sometimes it can be interesting, just, if there's no explanation, in the liner notes or anything explaining, just trying to figure out why did they go with this song. And some are really bizarre, like, especially when you're talking about a metal cover of a non-metal song.
Mm-hmm.
The question comes up, why the hell did you choose this? I think it's been pretty much stated in the vinyl community that whatever you do, don't do Beatles covers. That's very shunned upon in the PC for some reason. But there's definitely some out there that are just like, wow, where did you dig up this old fossil to cover, So, but sometimes it's also a nice surprise, but it depends on where it is on the album as well.
Oh, good point. Where do you like them placed on the album?
Honestly, as a bonus track.
Fair.
Okay, because usually I like my albums to capture a feel of a whole body of work. Okay, I like an album to be a tangible piece of 5 to 7 chapters of that book. And when you have this random chapter from somebody else's story thrown in the middle of it, it just kind of messes it up, so to speak. So I'll take it as a bonus track or an ending track. Never, and it's been done, but never open your album with that, because that's just kind of saying we don't even like our album, so we're going to open it up with a cover. So I think that there should be more, if there's not more care in placing the cover on the album properly, but there could be more to that than I'm aware of too, such as, time constraint, 2 sides of vinyl, whatever, however it fits, that kind of thing. But I think if my band were to cut a vinyl record with a cover and, the text says, hey, if you want to put this cover on here, it's got to be on side 1, at the end of side 1 or something for it to fit, then I would say, well, then leave it off,
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of interesting, to really think about it more than just, oh, they covered a song by NXS. How quaint, So
yeah. For me, to be honest with you, I don't think a cover song should be on a full-length album. It should be on a 12-inch single. It should be on a mini CD. It should be on a split with another band. Something
B-side.
Completely separate and fun. It typically, there are exceptions, of course, but if it has to be on an album, it's got to be at the end. It just does, if at all. And my problem with covers, I mean, I've done one. It hasn't come out yet. Glorious Dead covered SOS by ABBA. And you know what? It sounds like a Glorious Dead song. That, to me, is the challenge, right? If you're a band, you pick a song that's completely out of your wheelhouse and make it your own. That's cool, but yet it's still recognizable enough for the listener to say, hey, wait a minute. I recognize that melody line. Wait a minute. Hold on. And you're looking at the insert. Oh my God, it's a cover. That's cool. Mm-hmm. But if it's obvious, I just really think that so many bands, they try and it's kind of a fail, and it screws up the flow of your album if it's on there. Especially if it's in the middle or at the beginning. I mean, we're going to go through some of these tonight, of course. But, yeah. What do you think, Alan? What do you think about covers?
I'm a bit more forgiving of them than you are.
I'll be right back. I'm sorry.
Sure. Yeah.
Something I just remembered I got to grab. Be right back.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't mind covers in general, but like y'all, I kind of want them someplace that they will fit. And usually that's going to be near the end of the album or at the end of the album. You know, it's nice to be able, if you don't want to hear it, it's nice to be able to just, stop the album before that cover song is done. And you didn't miss, like you said, Duane, you don't miss one of the chapters of the book. You've gotten to the end of your book. Maybe there's this, thing tacked on the end. But it's easy to skip that way if you just don't like it or you're not in the mood for it. Yeah. There are exceptions to that.
For the credits, when the credits roll,
Exactly. Yeah. You can sit there and watch the credits roll and check out one more kind of fun song if you want to, or you can just get up and head on out. Exactly. There are some exceptions to that, and we'll talk about a few of those tonight. Folks have already mentioned one or two in the chat, but yeah, sometimes the cover can work earlier in the album. I think in those cases, it needs to be a cover. The song choice and the way it's performed needs to fit nicely in with the band's style on the album already. So it doesn't feel out of place that way. It's like, oh, well, okay, yeah, you're covering a song by this band, but yeah, we're kind of sounding like that band's style anyway, so it doesn't really feel that jarring to have it there. So yeah, sometimes it works. There are a lot of fun covers. I've mostly picked examples of ones I like tonight. I will go over a few examples of ones that don't make a lick of sense. Just why would you pick this? Why would you pick this? And why didn't somebody stop you from picking this? But also, like you said, Duane, people, covers do turn up for different reasons. Sometimes we all tend to think that, oh, the band wanted to do it for some reason, which isn't always the case, especially on older releases. A lot of times cover songs were pushed on bands by labels because they were seen as an easy vehicle to help generate some marketing hype, especially, pre-internet. Labels would be like, hey, throw a cover song on there and that'll get folks on the street talking about the new album. Judas Priest, I'm sure we'll mention some of their examples later. A lot of the cover songs that are on those older Priest albums, it was always the label's kind of insistence. It's like, we want you to do a cover song. Like, okay, sure. Yeah. It wasn't that Priest was, jumping up and down, dying to cover something on the record. But the label's like, well, it'll help boost sales a little bit. It'll get you a little more exposure, might get you a little more airplay. What were they going to say? Fuck off, we don't want to do it. They found songs, they covered them, and it became part of the album. So it's not always the band's first choice necessarily, but sometimes it is I guess a necessary evil in those kind of instances.
Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's fun and great.
Bands in history. There's been bands that came onto the scene by doing a cover, and it was so popular that they got famous, and then that led into their own material. But they started their career in popularity and whatnot with a cover song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, some great ones in the chat tonight. Ones I'm like, why didn't I think of that? I've
already seen probably about 6 or 7 of the ones I picked fly by. So
yeah. There's
gonna
be Typo Negative.
Ones,
Typo Negative doing Cinnamon Girl. What a great cover. Holy crap. What a great song. Yep. Mm-hmm. Well, hell, let's get into it.
Yeah.
Duane, we'll start with you.
Well, we decided that there was one, but while we were backstage, we got to talking, and there's one band that has done a lot of covers that we all picked stuff by that we're just going to go ahead and kind of start with as a group discussion, because otherwise we want to be coming back and forth to them all night, and that might just drive folks nuts. So, Duane, why don't you start us off discussing Blind Guardian's penchant for covers?
Okay. So with the Big BG, I picked 2 covers that I thoroughly enjoy. One is my absolute favorite that the band has covered. They've done many, but I didn't want to create a list 10 titles long of just Blind Guardian. So I did pick 2 though. And the first one, this is my number 1 favorite, and it's on the A Voice in the Dark EP/single, what have you. But it's the track for You're the Voice. And it's a famous song by John Farnham. And was really, really big in England. And it's a classic track. It's been done by many people. It's been covered by many people. but this version by Blind Guardian is there is just something about it. I remember the first time I heard it, I was immediately hitting repeat on the CD, and just swallowing it like 10 or 15 times straight in a row. I still love it to this day. Yeah. See, people are recognizing that. Thank you, because I'm like, no one's going to know this one. Yeah, John Farnham, You're the Voice. Love that track. So that's my first one.
Okay.
And then the second one, because I think Hansi just really shines on this track, is going to be off of Somewhere Far Beyond. And I'm going with Spread Your Wings, the Queen cover on this is really, really awesome. So Hansi just sounds so good on that track. And Blind Guardian really makes it their own, which is really nice, yet still recognizable enough. So they didn't try to just, duplicate the track. They made it their own. And Hansi's voice just fits it, and if you're going to have a singer step up and go, okay, I'm going to throw down on some Freddie Mercury, Hansi Kirsch has a voice that can do it. Even though he doesn't sound like him, he's got the talent enough in the voice to equal it. So those two are my two Blind Guardians that I picked.
I gotta say, go ahead.
No,
Alan.
go ahead,
You're
Mark.
up next. No. Well, I'll close it out at the end of the discussion. If
That's fair enough.
Still.
Yeah, Blind Guardian's interesting because they've covered a lot of songs, and some of them are fantastic, and some of them are really, really just kind of painfully bad. I'll do an example of each. For one that I think is really good, and I think Logan just mentioned this one. It's a CD bonus track on some pressings of their second album, Follow the Blind. You get a killer version of Demons, Don't Break the Circle. This is an old.
That is pretty good. It's better than
band.
the original. Better than the original.
It's as good as the original and possibly better. I like the original a lot too. It's at least as good though. Yeah, they absolutely nail it. They speed it up a little bit. It just works perfectly. So yeah, flat out amazing. If you want an example though of where Blind Guardian completely jumps the shark, and I don't have this on a disc anywhere, but around the Imaginations era, they covered Mr. Sandman.
Yep.
The old 50s bubblegum pop, Mr. Sandman.
That's right.
Bring me a dream. And it's just and they made a video for it too. I mean, it's just this wasn't just like a funny B-side. They made a video for it. They allowed people to film them singing it.
What's cool though is the second half of that, they go into double time. And Hansi sounds like he gets all pissed. Mr. Sandman! It's just awesome.
Yeah, they try to speed it up, and it's just. So it's now you're making fun of it, but for the first half, you were just doing it in such a sappy, saccharine manner. It just, I don't know what the thought process was, but and it's a perfect example of why did you pick that? Of all things to cover. Some of the other covers they do that I don't like, I can at least see why, okay, they just are fans of this band, perhaps. I could see them liking that band. Okay, somebody thought this one would be fun. Who thought Mr. Sandman would be fun? It really kind of hurts my brain trying to sort that one out. What's Ryan got? Yeah. Cheers, Ryan. Absolutely. Yeah. And again, there are some other good examples of both good and bad stuff by Blind Guardian, but I've given one of each. So now it's Marty's turn to weigh in on the Blind Guardian sort of very consistent cover machine over the years. Marty, what do you want to point out?
Well, ranking right up there with Mr. Sandman. Actually, not as bad as that, but still really bad. They covered Barbara Ann on the end of Follow the Blind.
Yes, they did.
The band's second album, and my whole point, what I was going to say is, maybe I'm putting too much thought into the flow and concept of an album. You get a band like Blind Guardian, they're writing fantastical songs. At this point in their career, they're speed metal mixed with power metal. They're creating a feel, they're a chapter of their, their catalog, their career is here. Why would you take the listener out of the spell with putting a shitty Barbara Ann cover on here? A 50s or 60s song, doo-woppy type rock and roll stuff that has nothing to do with the 9 songs that came before it. And they don't even try to, I don't know, man. This is what bothers me about cover songs. This is why, if you want to cover this type of stuff, fine. Make a covers album.
They did, didn't they?
Well, you record it in the studio and save it. And every time you do it and have an itch to do it, record it and save it. And then down the road, put out a Blind Guardian cover. Oh, then it's fun. Haha, everybody's having fun. Everybody loves it. It's not muddling up the flow and feel of a classic album. Granted, it's at the end of said album. You can stop at after track 9. You can stop after Don't Break the Circle, which is another cover song. They do a double banger, one after. This is a reissue, so I don't know what the real track listing is on this. I guess I could look, but Valhalla is the last real Blind Guardian song, and what a classic. It's the one they always play when they play live. The whole damn 70,000 people of Aachen sing along with it. And then you screw it up by throwing 2 covers on the end of it. There's got to be someone in the band. Yeah, let's have fun. Let's do this, but let's save it for something, a 12-inch single. Let's put it on the B side of a 12-inch. Let's put it on, a mini CD of other weird odds and ends, live clips. Let's do it live. Whatever. But keep it off your albums. Keep it off your albums. Sometimes it works and it's fine. Which I do have some examples of that here, but it's just, I don't know. There's people behind the scenes here that, that's a great, let's definitely, who's calling the shots? And is it Hansi that wants to do this? I kind of get the feeling that as time has gone on, Hansi's kind of been the one steering the ship. He's, the voice, he's the one that always kind of looks up to in this band. Is he the one calling the shots on here?
Don't know. It's been stated out there, but yeah, I do not know.
I don't know. Anyway, it's a bummer.
Yeah. But like you said too, they can do some covers that absolutely fit with the flow of their albums. They do a great cover of Satan's Trial by Fire, and it fits perfectly with Blind Guardian's style. It would be pretty easy for in that case for people to miss the fact it was a cover, like Duane said earlier, until you actually look in the liner notes and realize, like, wait, who's B. Ross? B. Ross wrote this song? Who the heck is that? And then you start figuring it out. So Blind Guardian's a goofy one for sure. But good to cover all the ins and outs of Blind Guardian's penchant for cover songs.
I think we're going to have some overlap tonight, but we'll all have comments on it. I think it'll be fine. We'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
So, Alan, you're up next.
Wait, no, we're back to we've done Blind Guardian. Let Duane pick something here.
Gotcha.
Okay, Blind Guardian is done. All right. Okay. Well, let's get this out of the way so everybody can take a drink. Okay. And this is kind of like what we were kind of hinting around earlier about an album that is just full of covers. Then it's like, okay, no problem. But I am going to go with Halloween's cover of ABBA. Okay, Lay All Your Love on Me. And I remember when this first came out and I saw that, I'm like, no friggin' way. I just cannot picture Andy Darris singing ABBA. Okay, it just makes no sense to me, so much so that it was the first thing I listened to. And I absolutely love the track. Absolutely love it. But this is full of covers and there's lots to choose from on here. But that's the one track that is probably the most non-Halloween, the furthest from Halloween you could probably pick, and you listen to it, and my God, if they don't Halloween it, and make, I don't know if you guys are that familiar with it, but it's killer. It's killer.
That's a good covers album. There's a lot of deep cuts on there too.
Yeah.
Some stuff I never heard before is on there.
But just, thinking of Andy Darris singing ABBA, and I'll be damned if he doesn't do it and do it good. So, Lay All Your Love on Me, Halloween.
Good pick.
Yeah,
Alan.
Halloween hasn't really had the same penchant for covers that like Blind Guardian have over the years. I mean, they obviously did the covers album, but yeah, you don't find them sprinkled through all the albums, at least through the first half of the career, like you do for Blind Guardian.
Well,
All right, I'm going.
I'll put this in there because Duane just talked about it, but
Sure.
on the bonus CD for this, they do "Fast as a Shark" by Accept, and it's
Mhm.
great.
Okay. Cool.
My kid was telling me the other day, he's like, "Dad, I checked out the Accept song "Fast as a Shark" after hearing the Halloween one, and I think I like the Halloween version better." I'm like, well, you know, the source material, but it's good source material, but I get what you're saying. Anyway, go ahead.
There's a lot of years between those two versions too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
and kind of mean he's coming into metal, from more of that, kind of power speed metal side of things. So it kind of makes sense he might prefer that over the Accept version. I can see that.
Yep.
Let's see. Hey, whoops, wrong comment there. Hey, there's Viking Skull. Hey, man, good to see you.
What's going on?
All right, for my first one, I want to pick a cover song that's a cover of a cover. Because I think this was the third, as far as I can tell, this was the third band to release this song. And I think they had the biggest hit with it of any of the three. We're talking about Nazareth covering Love Hurts. Huge hit for them. Big, 70s ballad, of course. The version of the song I always knew growing up was the Roy Orbison version. And Roy Orbison did a great version of it. Very fitting for his kind of style. But Orbison's version isn't the original either. Orbison recorded and released it in 1961, which was about a year after the Everly Brothers did it. And they didn't write it. Somebody else wrote the song for the Everly Brothers to do. The Everly Brothers, it never got released as a single, though. There was about the time they had a big falling out with their management and stuff, and somehow that song ended up, it was, I think, slated to be a single, and then it fell through the cracks while they were working out legal shit. So the following year, Roy Orbison covered it, and it became a hit for him in some territories. I'm looking at you, Simon. Yep, you guys pushed it to number 5 on the Australian singles chart, apparently, in 1961, even though it was the B-side for a different song. So I think it got released, according to Wikipedia, as a double A-side single for Australia. But yeah, then, Nazareth would cover it, on the Hair of the Dog album in the mid-1970s. And this is the version now that, is kind of, the iconic one that it was a huge mega hit, gets used a lot of times in soundtracks and things like that. And I do like Nazareth's version. It works really well. The guitar solo in the middle is very mournful. It fits the mood of the song perfectly the way they do it. So, yeah, here's an example of kind of third take on the track might have been the best one of the three. The Everly Brothers version, I have nothing against the Everly Brothers, but it just, it's fine. I like Roy Orbison's version, but I do really like Nazareth's version of Love Hurts. All right, so yeah, starting on an oldie but a goodie there. So then, Marty, what would you like to share with the class?
Great album too. The whole album's great. I love that album.
Hair of the Dog is, yes, very, very good. Yep, indeed.
All right. Well, I'm pulling this up. I thought I had the promo CD of this, but I don't. This is I believe a French band called Carnival and Coal. This is, did I say French band? Let me make sure for sure here. I don't know where this band's from. The name of this album is French Can Can, and there is a series of covers on here, and this band has the most unique take on them. They're at their heart a metal band, but they also have like disco and samba. They mix it up with weird crap. The standout song on here is Baker Street, a Jerry Rafferty cover.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It is a great song anyway, and they just do a screwed up, weird cover of it. They also cover Mama by Genesis, Fucking Hostile by Pantera, Fall from Grace, a Morbid Angel cover, Piranha, an Afric Simone cover. I don't know who that is. Maniac, a Michael Cimbello cover. He's a maniac. And they do a killer version of it. And then Bark at the Moon by Ozzy Osbourne. And it's just weird, a weird take on, here's a band that is taking these songs, chopping them up and making them something really strange, but still keeping the heart and core of the song. So that Baker Street, that saxophone line is so predominant in the song. It's just it's so cool how they did it. And yeah, I'm glad other people have heard that. But go check out Carnival and Cold. Dial this up on the interwebs and give it a spin. It's an actually very creative and unique take on a series of covers. Very cool stuff. Interesting project. It's just a 2-piece. So I'm assuming it's kind of a studio conglomeration, mad scientist thing, but it's cool. You know, they bring in blast beats into some songs, and it's cool. It's interesting. And if you're going to do something with a cover, snazz it up a bit. And they did. They did it here for sure. So let me get rid of this. And let me get Laz up here. There you go.
That's interesting, Marty. I'm completely unfamiliar with that band. I have no idea.
Check it out. It's worth a listen.
I will. Are we back to me again already?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness, that was fast. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to stay kind of along the same vein, maybe a little different, but another album of covers from a band. And this one's just loaded with good stuff, the whole thing. But the one that really stands out to me, because I'm such a Blue Oyster Cult fan, is the cover that Iced Earth does of Cities on Flame.
Oh.
Here. And this is Twilight of the Gods. Yeah. So this is just all covers by Iced Earth. Lots of great stuff on here. But Matt Barlow singing Blue Oyster Cult is just and they thicken it up on here. It's just, man, what a You listen to the original Blue Oyster Cult version, and you can hear that 70s rock sound all over it, you know, because that's what it's from. That's what it is. And these guys absolutely staying true to the song, yet bring it into today, you know, and it's so good. So if anyone's unfamiliar with this one, the whole album is smokes. But I mean, they've got Maiden covers on here, all kinds of stuff, but great stuff. So
yeah, the Maiden cover, you would guess. I mean, that would be, you would expect that band to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And do a great job on it too. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, Blue Oyster Cult, Cities on Flame with Rock and Roll by Iced Earth.
Right on. Good one.
Yep. A lot of folks giving you the big thumbs up for that one in the chat.
Nice.
All right. For this one, I will do sort of two combined. This band has done two really top-notch covers, so I will just roll them into one. We're talking about Solitude Eternus. Excellent, of course, epic Doom band. On this album, Adagio, they close the album. So again, covers in the right place. It's at the end. And they cover Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell. Yeah, now this one's been covered by a lot of bands, but it fits very nicely in Solitude Eternus' style, and they absolutely nail it. They crush it. It's not better than the original. It's rare any cover is going to do that. This is about as close as you could get, though. It sounds fantastic. Robert Lowe, his voice is perfect for that kind of song. And yeah, it's a monstrously good cover version of a classic Black Sabbath song. Fits good. Sadly, it might be the best song on this particular album. This is not my favorite Solitude Eternus outing. It's not bad, but it's very long and a little bit lifeless. But yeah, when the cover song is in the running for best song on the album, something has probably gone slightly awry with your album. The other one, we have to jump over to this album, Downfall, which is one of my favorite Solitude Eternus albums. It's very unsung. And this one has a cover in the middle, which we said earlier is kind of a party foul most of the time, but it actually works pretty well here. They do an absolutely banging version of Christian Death's Death Wish. And the reason it kind of works here in the middle is that this is a relatively varied album to start with. You have some of the slow, doomy stuff. Some songs lean a little more psychedelic. Some rock a little harder. Where this one falls before it, you've got kind of a relatively short, very sort of tripped out, druggy sounding Elysium. And after it, you have one of the big classic Solitude Aeternus, mournful epic doom numbers with, those are the nameless. And so having Death Wish in between those two, where all of a sudden it just, and they just really launch into the song really fast and hard. It just mixes things up really nicely there. Where you've had, some, weird stuff before it. You get back into some, different doomy stuff before, and in between the two, they just grab you by the throat and throttle you with this excellent version of Death Wish. So it's one of those songs. The first time I heard the album, the song just jumped out at me. I'm like, that's an amazingly good song. And it was one of those cases, like you said, Duane, it's like, but there's something kind of funny about it. It's great. I love it, but it feels a little unusual. So I had to start looking, at the liner notes, and so like, oh yeah, that's not their song. I was unfamiliar with the Christian Death version at the time. I had heard some Christian Death by then, but just didn't know that particular song by them. So yeah, Solitude Aeternus, they nail it on a couple of cover songs there. Like both of those very much.
Nice.
All right.
And so, Marty, pass it over to you, and I'll catch up on the chat.
Well, you all heard of the band Golden Earring, right? The song Radar Love.
Mm-hmm.
It's I had a friend in high school or grade school I grew up with that really liked Golden Earring. And although I really liked hearing it here and there, it just really surprised me how much that song in particular kind of influenced a bunch of people.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine King Diamond doing Radar Love. Oh, shit.
Nope, scratch that one off.
Damn, sorry. I thought I had everyone beat with this one. I thought I was pulling out some secret sauce. Yeah. But, yep, this is on the end of a, oh, wow. I open up which I haven't touched in years, King Diamond and Black Rose, 20 years ago, a night of rehearsal. And there's a Scanner Hypertrace CDR in there. What the hell? Why?
Weird.
Anyway, yeah, this is at the end of a rehearsal. A bunch of songs that have never really been released by a band that King Diamond was in before King Diamond. He was still flirting with the theatrics. He had the fake gun and the blood and the skull and the some of the makeup on here. But I guess the thing that we don't really often think about is some of these older artists. This guy is partially responsible for at least two of the most evil albums, in my opinion, ever made, Melissa and Don't Break the Oath in particular. But you don't really, how did they come upon this sound, this style? Is it Golden Earring? I mean, can Golden Earring be partially responsible for the evilness and the darkness that comes out of Merciful Fate? Probably not, but it's so interesting because a lot of these bands, what was it influencing them? Hard rock. Mm-hmm. Hard rock influenced metal.
Yeah, and King Diamond has said many times, like, one of the first albums he bought, as like a young kid that had a huge impact on him was Deep Purple's Fireball.
Yeah.
It's like without that, Deep Purple gets overlooked a lot these days. Without Fireball, you probably don't have Merciful Fate or King Diamond as we know them.
Yep. So, Duane, I'll let you continue on with this. I just wanted to.
Well, I was going to say my take on that version that King does on that is it's actually not really. It's done by. I mean, King Diamond's obviously metal, but that version is almost very true to the original. It's not really metalized, I guess, so to speak. It's almost just a hard rock version, you know what I mean? But his voice, you can hear in that track, especially towards the second half of the track, that he really starts hitting those falsettos. He's playing with it there, and so that's what really changes it. But it's not like it wouldn't be like Demi Borgier trying to do it. You know what I mean? It sounds like a early hard rock band covering Golden Earring, but it's so well done. It's just, I mean, you can tell it wasn't like hey guys, let's do Radar Love. You can tell they practiced it. They did it, But yeah, I thought I was going to just surprise everybody with that one.
Me
So
too.
awesome, Marty. Awesome pick.
We share the same brain on some of this stuff. And for anybody that's never heard this Black Rose stuff, it is
Oh,
very
great.
much Deep Purple. They got a organ and Moog player on here. So
Mhm.
if you listen to this and don't hear, Deep Purple, a little John Lord influence, you're missing the boat because it's definitely all over that stuff.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Duane.
Good pick.
Sorry
Good
to
pick.
steal your thunder.
No. That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so you know what? Because we just brought up Deep Purple and whatnot, I am going to go with this band's first album. And here's another thing, talking about covers and whatnot. When a band puts out their first album, so many times it's so commonplace to have a cover track on there, sometimes more than one. A lot of these bands were cover bands, so that's probably where that comes from. They have all these cover songs down. They get signed, they have to come up with a full album of material. They've got 6 songs written of original stuff, and it's like, wow, we need 2 more tracks. Let's put a couple of the covers on there, what have you.
Yeah,
but
that's a good point, Duane. Back in the day, I mean, if you were a young band starting out, playing covers is how you got gigs. You didn't get gigs by writing your own songs. If you wanted to, because the gigs were often things like, people's parties or dances where they want to hear the hits. So you had to learn to cover those. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
And honestly, today, the only bands probably really making money anymore are cover bands. They're the ones that get paid.
Bands.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah.
Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
But this band, I have a feeling, didn't really need the cover. And you'll know why when I show you who it is. But it is on their first album. And it is a Deep Purple cover. And it is on the first Primal Fear album. And it's Speed King. And it is absolutely killer. I mean, Sheepers just destroys it vocally. It's so good. So good. So Speed King on the first Primal Fear record. And if you're going to do a cover, man, now there's a song to pick for a cover. You wouldn't see that coming out of left field. And, just, and does not pull from the record at all. So this was one that, let's see, where does it fall? It is second song on the second side. And it just fits right in there. It doesn't stop the flow of the record or anything. So if you're unfamiliar with it, give it a listen. Obviously all this stuff's available on YouTube and whatnot, but yeah, killer cover. Speed King, Deep Purple, first Primal Fear record.
All right, Alan.
Yep. Oh yeah, folks were pointing out another Solitude Eternus cover I didn't mention. They do a really good version of Hallowed Be Thy Name. Okay, let's break out one of the weird what was happening here things. This is a really obscure band from Canada. They would be Canadian, called Probe. Just Probe. It's like, okay, that's a name. They released one EP back in 1984. I don't own it, so I'll pull it up here. It was called We Come in Peace. So I guess Probe was supposed to be like in the interstellar kind of sense here. Just a quick 4-track EP. I haven't heard the whole thing in ages. I remember it kind of leaning, a little bit more hard rock, fairly accessible stuff. There's really only one thing you ever remember about the Probe EP if you hear it, and it's track number 4, the fourth and last one on this EP is a cover of The Devil Went Down to Georgia by Charlie Daniels Band. Because, if you're trying to be a rockin' band in 1980s for Canada, you cover a Southern rock hit from a few years earlier. It's one of those really strange moments. And you're just like, I remember hearing it for the first time, just like, that can't be right. Because I think somebody had probably sent me this as like MP3s or something. Like, did they somehow put the wrong thing on here? Is this not the Probe EP? Have I been listening to the wrong thing the whole time? And you look into it and you're just like, oh my God, they actually did this. not a particularly great version of the song, and not a particularly good choice of a song to cover. You have one shot. This is going to be your last will and testament as a band. You get one 4-track EP, and you burn one of the tracks covering "The Devil Went Down to Georgia."
Where's it at on the EP? I'm just curious.
It is the 4th and last track. It is side B, track 2.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it also features Drive-In Lover, which I have vague memories of that song kind of sucking it up a bit. Side 1, you have Dolly and We Come in Peace. So, yeah, sometimes you're surfing around on eBay or Discogs and you run into random things and you're like, that could be metal. That seems like hey, it's cheap. Maybe that's not a bad price. Just run away. You don't need this.
I was going to say, if I'm in the record store and I'm flipping through, and I see the front of that cover, I'd be like, oh, what's this? Pull it out, and then I flip it over, and if I read those tracks, I would have went, I don't think so.
Especially when, you get through those first 3, it's just like, this is iffy, and you see the cover song, it's just like, oh, no thank you. No thank you, sir. Yeah.
Thanks, Wade, for the $5. Appreciate you, man.
Wade. Appreciate it so much. Happy holidays, Wade.
Awesome, Wade. Merry Christmas, buddy.
Yeah, so classic example of, and again, I haven't heard that EP probably in 20 years, but as soon as we decided on cover songs, like, well, I know one of the weird ones I want to mention. What's the damn Canadian band that did that Charlie Daniels cover? So there we have it. It will not be the weirdest one I pull out tonight, probably, but it's in contention at least. Marty, your turn, sir.
Well, we were mentioning Deep Purple a bit. We might as well just get this one out of the way. Highway Star. The first Metal Church album.
I totally forgot about that one. Good call.
God, I look at the album cover on here and I just want to listen to the album. I love this era so much. I mean, I love
the first 3.
The first 3. Mike Howe at the end. The last 2 that Mike Howe did, I thought they were great. I thought, was it 11 and what the hell was the other one? I can't remember the blue cover. I don't remember. But the last 2 Mike Howe albums are great too. Metal Church is Metal Church. They're just a great band. This and The Dark are probably my 2 favorites. But Highway Star, great song. They do a great Metal Churched up cover of it on here. They close out the album here. I don't think Highway Star was on the original pressing. Wasn't it on different pressings of this? I don't remember how it goes.
I could see it not being on the original because the original was kind of a limited thing, so it might have been added when it got
re-released by Elektra. I think it got I got added on there when Elektra picked them up because didn't it come out on their own thing or I don't remember. I don't want to talk on my ass here because I don't remember the whole ins and outs of it. But
I'll look it up. But I think you're on the right track.
Here, good Deep Purple cover. Metal Church. David Wayne, rest in peace, nails it on Highway Star.
Nice.
Yep, that song's been covered by a lot of bands, and it often there's a song that just does work well as a 80s heavy metal song. Those bands, it fits for a lot of those bands.
It's it's one of those songs that's like perfect for that pre-concert over the overhead while you're waiting for the band to come on. You know what I mean? Kind of like with Maiden, they always play Doctor Doctor by UFO, right?
Yeah.
Band comes on. It's one of those tracks. It's just it puts you in the mood. Instant hard rock metal song. I want to comment real quick on Mike Villain put Iron Maiden's version of Skyhook's Women in Uniform is one of his favorite covers ever. And I just want to stay on there that, talking about... I
didn't know that was a cover. I have the single for that. And I didn't know it was a cover.
Yeah, no, that is a cover. But that's what I wanted to comment on is there's another interesting situation where Maiden took that song, and I guarantee you, until they did it, probably nobody heard that freaking track, okay, or that band Skyhook, okay, for years. Maiden made that cover their own, right? I mean, there's probably to this day Maiden fans that have been fans for years and don't even know that's a cover,
like Marty,
right? And so. That's another kind of just interesting situation where a cover really worked for a band.
There's another example of that, Duane. King of the Nighttime World by Kiss. I didn't know that was a cover. Forever.
And how much popularity did oh God, I'm drawing a blank. because of Metallica.
Oh,
God, I'm totally brain farting here.
I don't know which one. Savage, Diamond Head,
No,
Misfits,
the
Off
new
of this
album
one?
band. No. Oh, jeez. I'm totally
Holocaust?
Holocaust.
Sweet Savage.
No. Oh God, I'm totally drawing.
I'm trying to
Budgie?
think who else.
Budgie.
No.
I think who else. Metallica covered so many.
No. D.
Diamond Head.
Diamond Head. Thank you.
Helpless.
How
Yeah.
many, how much popularity Diamond Head got because of Metallica. I mean,
Oh,
they were
yeah.
popular before, but not like, Metallica covered it and all of a sudden people started really discovering Diamond Head.
Well, I guess they covered Atmospheres as well by Blue Oyster Cult, and there was some interview where the guy's like, "Man, those royalty checks from that really kept us going down the road for a couple of years."
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to throw one out there. This one I don't have a prop for. I don't have a vinyl or a CD for. And this is one where I'm not all that familiar with the band. I discovered the band through this cover song, and it's a black metal band, but this song is so completely, and the cover is so completely its own thing, but it is phenomenally done. I absolutely love it. And the band is Carpathian Forest, and they covered a forest by The Cure.
Yep.
Perfect. That's the best cover song I've ever heard of that song.
Oh my God, that is so
It's
good.
great.
So
It's
good.
very true to the original, actually.
Yeah,
I've got- yeah, I
they
pulled
still
it here
put their own
somewhere.
touch on it, but they do it respectfully. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just so good. So
Mhm.
yeah.
This is
There you go.
This is a
There you
different reissue of it, but yeah, it's the last track there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great version. Good call, Dwayne.
That's
Yeah.
a great. I didn't even think of that. I heard the Behemoth cover here a few years ago. I'm like, oh God, terrible. After hearing the Carpathian Forest, no one should even try again. Stop. Yep. Good
Yeah,
one.
that
Good pick.
So well done.
All right. Alan.
Hey,
All
Tim,
right,
Merry
Ben.
Christmas, buddy.
Thanks, Tim. You too, man. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Tim. Good to have you as always.
And I'm sorry that the package I sent you with the Acid Bath CD is probably lost in the Canadian strike, and you'll never see it.
Ugh. Jeez.
So
Is anybody
hopefully
not on strike currently? Starbucks is on strike. Amazon's on strike. Post office in Canada's on strike. Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the thing. Quick update. I checked both Metal Archives and Discogs says that Highway Star was always on those early versions
Okay.
of the Metal Church album. So, and yes,
Right on.
they did have it was on, I think, Ground Zero Records originally, but it
My
lists
wires
Highway
were
Star.
crossed. My wires were crossed on that one.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was left off too. Let's see. Next whip, I will go with. Let's see, where's that? Yeah, second Heir Apparent album, One Small Voice, and in the middle of this one, they do an outstanding cover of Simon and Garfunkel's "The Sound of Silence," which song that's a popular cover for lots of bands in different genres. This Heir Apparent version is extremely good. I like this album more than most people seem to begin with. It's a bit different than their debut. Most folks know the debut. It's a good album. It has its flaws. It's very much kind of in the early Queensryche vein. On this one, there's some lineup changes, and it feels like they drifted a little more towards what we would think of as like progressive metal in the sort of post Dream Theater world now. But yeah, their take on Sound of Silence is just extremely good. It builds very nicely, plays out beautifully, and it fits with their style just fine. Even though it's an obvious cover song, it as soon as it gets going, it still feels right at home on this album. This is not a Barbara Ann moment where it completely takes you out of the zone. It's like, no, that's a brilliant choice for a song, even having it in the middle of the album. It doesn't disrupt the flow whatsoever. So, yeah, longtime fan of this album, and they picked a really good song, did a really good cover of it, and they worked it in seamlessly to the album. So great choice here. And Mike, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Happy holidays.
Thanks
to
a
you.
bunch, Mike. Thank you.
Always
Awesome,
good to have
Mike.
Mike around. Mike knows so much metal. It's not even funny. He always has tons of good info in the chat for us, helping us out and helping everyone else out too. But yeah, I'll do Heir Apparent as mine and pass it over to Marty.
I feel like I'm going to be shitting in Duane's cereal here again. Got to go with this though. I've got two instances of covers by the same band, one of which I really like, and that would be off of Somewhere Out in Space, Gamma Ray doing Return to Fantasy by Uriah Heep. It's funny, it's not listed on the CD at all. It's like one of those hidden tracks. They must not pay any royalties, but yeah. And it's I love the song. I don't know that I'd never heard the Uriah Heep song, but I love the Gamma Ray version of it so much. And the thing of it is, it fits with the rest of the album. It doesn't sound like what the hell's going on here? It's because it's not a song really with an overall concept other than a bunch of really great songs. So in this case, it works. And then we have another instance of Gamma Ray doing a cover on Power Plant. They cover Pet Shop Boys.
Too.
It's a Sin. What'd you say?
I love both those albums so much.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But It's a Sin is a little bit different. It sounds like Gamma Ray covering a Pet Shop Boys song. He doesn't really do a lot to the song to differentiate it. Obviously it's guitars instead of synth, but they're very true to the original.
To the track, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's a good song, and it's a little weird on here, but I still like it. Yeah. And I gotta say, the packaging on this is annoying. I just, where do you put it? You know, I've got it propped up on a shelf, and was an A5 Digib thing. Yeah. I don't know.
They're nice to look at, but they are hard to store.
Yeah, and this one I got was kind of ruined. And anyway, whatever. That's neither here nor there. But two from Gamma Ray. I'm sure they have more, but those are the two that popped in my head. Hopefully you didn't have those, and I didn't screw you up any, Duane.
You know, I did not pick those, though I know them, obviously. But no, good call. I actually forgot about Gamma Ray. I wasn't even thinking Gamma Ray.
That Return to Fantasy song is freaking awesome. It's a great song.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Agreed. I'll tell you what, though, I'm kind of going along the same lines with something here, and I'll explain. Another power metal band, actually, and kind of the same thing, like you were talking about with Gamma Ray and Pet Shop Boys. And what I'm going with here is, and I don't have the CD, excuse me, but Dancing with Tears in My Eyes by Avantasia. And, we're talking about
heard that.
Tobias Sammet and Avantasia, and Dancing with Tears in My Eyes by the band Ultravox.
Yep.
80s synth pop mid-year, and Billy Currie from Visage, their other band, Ultravox, very, very popular band, 80s synth pop. They did Lament, so many wonderful songs. I love that band as well. And Avantasia covers Dancing with Tears in My Eyes, and it's like you were saying, it's almost the exact same version with guitars instead of synths. Yep. It's not changed so much, and he's got such a great voice, Tobias Sammet does, that it just fits really, really well. So great version of the song. So that's funny, that's kind of the same thing like you're bringing up with Gamma Ray.
Yep. So new Avantasia album coming in 2025.
Yeah.
Boy, that single that dropped is not very good. It's a little too poppy. I don't know.
I have not heard it yet.
I haven't either. I just my wife noticed the pre-order for the vinyl is already sold out, and it's not even getting released for several months yet. So
holy crap, Amoli. They'll print more.
Folks are into ready for that one, it seems. Yep.
There Be Dragons is the name of the album.
I knew it had dragon in the name, but I couldn't remember where be dragons.
Yep. All right.
Next up, classic one. A lot of folks will know this. I think it fits in the album quite well. Let's see where it's positioned in the album. It's fairly early. Yeah, track number 3 on Persecution Mania and Sodom Tackles Motorhead's Iron Fist. And this is an example where, they don't really do anything novel to the song whatsoever. They stay pretty true to the original, but they do it really well, and it fits nicely in the context of this album. This album, they're still have a good evil thing going on, but they are tightening up, and they are pushing the music forward a lot more so than on the earlier material. And yeah, Iron Fist just absolutely works on here, absolutely fine. And it is strange because it is an early position for the cover song, which, like we talked about, can be off-putting, but in this case, it does not bother me at all. I'm absolutely fine having it right there early in the track run on Persecution Mania. Yeah, not a whole lot else to say about this one. Folks know the album, they know the song. Not everyone's going to dig it, of course, but I've always been fine with their take on Iron Fist. I like it's one of my more favorite Motorhead songs too, among the maybe like second tier Motorhead songs. Most people don't consider it, an essential track, but I always have liked it more than most folks, which maybe makes me a little biased towards liking the Sodom version too.
I gotta say, I think they do a good job on the cover, and it fits the motif of the band, but I don't like it there in the track listing. That's my favorite Sodom record, and it bums me out that they put that there. It seems like what's after it? Persecution Mania is after
Tit Fan, that's a really good pick.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. Good song. I don't know if I like the placement of it on the album, but
sure,
I might as well continue on with it. I did Pole Surfing Bird.
There, folks were hoping you would.
This is the promo slimline version, which got water damaged, unfortunately. But yeah, it's at the end of the song, but it's at the end of the album. But really, I don't know. They're trying to the Vietnam thing. I'm assuming this is a song that was probably out during that era. Some people say it fits perfectly with here, but I don't think it does. I just hate the song anyway, and Sodom doing it is just unnecessary. Thank you.
Yeah, it's it's one of those songs that's a little hard to figure out why that way. It's like not every now and then you have a novelty song that becomes a hit. And it always seems to be just one of those weird things. It's like, what combination of planets had to line up in just the right geometry to make that song a hit? It's goofy. The same can be said of something like, the Monster Mash. It's a fun enough as a novelty song, but then it becomes like a smash hit, and you're just like, I don't think this is what the band intended necessarily. That's probably not the song they were seeing as like carrying them straight to the top.
Right. All right. Laz,
and then you're stuck playing it for the rest of your career.
You're trying to be enthusiastic about it.
12 years later, you're at, one of their concerts, and like they're trying to play some new avant-garde piece. They've become serious composers, and the whole crowd is just chanting, "Bird the word, bird the word." And just, fuck, I hate my life.
It is, Jurgen. It is. All right, Duane.
Okay, let's see. I'm going to go with this one. This is kind of a common one that everybody probably knows, but it's definitely worth mentioning because it's just so well done. Of a song that, like, you would think, God, please don't cover that song, but it's so unique in the way that it's done. And it's Born to Be Wild by Steppenwolf, but by Raven, and with guest Udo Dirkschneider from Accept joining in on vocals for this track. And what's so good about this is John Gallagher and Udo, it's almost like they're battling vocally on this track. It's at times you almost can't tell which one's singing. They're so similar in a way, and they both just give it their all on it. And such a basic track, but man, they just slay it on this thing. So, like I said, with Udo and John Gallagher, it's like they're trying to, with each verse that they trade off, it's like they're trying to outdo the other. It's just, you got to listen to it. It's just phenomenal, but great track of a song that you're probably so sick of hearing the original. This is a great way to listen to that track and still enjoy it for sure. So Raven, Born to Be Wild.
Oh. Yeah, something with that song in particular, I've realized over time, people do complain about it. It's been way overcovered. But for like when Raven covered it or like when Riot covered it, the song wasn't that old. It probably wasn't, run into the ground back then. We look at it today. Oh God, why did they cover that? A million bands covered it. Well, they hadn't. A million bands hadn't covered it by the late 70s and early 80s. It had been covered, sure, but now we've got 40 more years of hearing it just way, way too often on every bloody car commercial, for example. But yeah, some of those songs that we're now tired of, if you're hearing a cover from 30, 40 years ago, back then it may have still been relatively fresh. Emphasis on relative. Oh, we're back to me. Okay. Let's do a new wave of British heavy metal one. As we talked about earlier, a lot of these bands, the way they got gigs playing in pubs and stuff was being able to play some cover songs, and then you work in a few of your own originals here and there and hope that some of them start to go over well. When I started collecting new wave of British heavy metal, one of the first bands I heard mentioned a few times by one of the dealers I collected with was Triarchy. Triarchy only did 2 7-inch pieces of vinyl back in the day. One of them had 2 songs, one of them had 3 songs. So they had 5 total songs released, and one of the 5 was a cover song. So they did a 3-track 7-inch EP, no picture sleeve ever made for it. And the 3rd track is called, let's see if we can get it to show here, Hellhound on My Trail. Sounds like a good title for a heavy metal track. But this is actually a cover of an old Delta blues track from the 1930s by Robert Johnson. And this is another one of those where it's just like, where in the world did you come up with the idea to cover that of all things? You're kind of this obscure new wave of British heavy metal band that didn't last very long, and you wanted to cover a Robert Johnson song of all things. Now they do it pretty well. It's actually a nice translation from, and Robert Johnson is very primitive, early blues.
Was that the guy who supposedly sold his soul to the devil?
That's the one.
Crossroads?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Crossroads dude. That's the guy.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry.
Nope. That's a good thing to point out. So yeah, he kind of, he is, kind of a famous, early bluesman. It's not like, they picked someone super obscure, but still just the fact that, you had like, British teenagers in like 1980 thinking, hey, you know what we want to cover? And choosing that is just kind of mind boggling. But again, it's a fairly decent version of it. There's nothing wrong with it at all. But it just always threw me for a bit of a loop. The thing that was especially weird for me, the dealer, that had told me about this, it was a big thing for him because the 2 things he collected were basically like 80s metal, especially new wave of British heavy metal, but he also collected a lot of early Delta blues stuff. And so to him, like this was just like, the holy grail of all things. This was like one of his favorite records because it was his 2 favorite things combined into one. And it just, again, I was a dumb kid at the time, but I knew what this was. And so he was always like, oh, how do you know that it's, the blues? And I was like, well, that's the kind of stuff my dad collects. And so it was kind of a weird crossover moment there as well, in terms of, it's like, I got a heavy metal record, but it covers the kind of thing that, my dad is more familiar with. So anyway, yeah, just a very obscure band covering a very weird choice, making an odd selection there for the B-side of their EP. Triarchy with Hellhound on My Trail.
Alan digging out a deep one. Nice.
Wow, super deep. Deep.
I think at least one other heavy metal band has covered Hellhound on My Trail, but I don't remember who off the top of my head. But I feel like I've seen it show up on at least one other release.
All right. Well, I have a couple things here, and this is a what you should not do section here. And if anybody's pulled these, I'm sorry. But I have always had a great problem with bands like Anthrax and Megadeth covering Sex Pistols songs. So off of Armed and Dangerous, you've got God Save the Queen. Is that the one? By Anthrax. You've got on So Far So Good So What. You've got Anarchy in the UK. So here's my problem. You've got 2 USA bands covering lyrics that are, put the British, British things under the microscope. It makes no sense. It makes no sense for these bands. Anthrax, boys from New York singing about God Save the Queen. You got, Anarchy in the UK. And even Motley Crue, didn't they change to Anarchy in the USA? Or I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
I
just
tried to.
Not only does it not fit within the context of thrash metal, it sounds stupid. It sounds stupid. These bands singing about British things, British cultural, social, political things. It's always bugged me. Go ahead.
See, what that is, Marty, is, back in the day when those albums came out, right, we had the punks and the skinheads and whatnot. And then on this side over here, we had, the metalheads, the Hessians and whatnot. And so that was just them going to the punkers, but we can play that bullshit, that's all.
Yeah, that's all that is.
We can play that crap,
But then you have the Sex Pistols. They also did covers. They did Iggy and the Stooges doing No Fun, which is a terrible song. It's just basically the same thing over and over and over until you get to the chorus. But yeah, I mean, they did it like the Sex Pistols, though, sloppy and messy. And should I just call this out since I've already talked about Anthrax? Here's a sign of Anthrax doing a good thing. And Time. Oh, wait. Got the Time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Joe Jackson song. They even lead off their album with it. And what a great song. What a great song. They speed it up. They jazz it up. They make it Anthrax. I mean, I didn't know it was a Joe Jackson. I thought it was an Anthrax song until, you start finding things out as you go. And you're like, holy crap, what a great song. They still play it live today. So it can be done right. And this is a good example of putting your cover song at the beginning of the album and it not being a what the fuck moment. It's like, okay, it fits with the context of this record. Although this is probably the darkest Anthrax record. One of my favorites. I love this record. I think it's great. It's long and dark, moody, very good record. So yeah, I went on about a lot of things. If I stole anybody's thunder again, I'm sorry.
No, that's all good.
They're all kind of related.
Yeah, no, that's a great call, and that you're right. That's a good example. Like we said earlier, usually putting the cover song in the lead slot is just the death's kiss, but it absolutely works there, and it even, of course, kind of fits in a little bit. There's several time-related things on that album, and so it kind of fits the little loose concept of the whole album.
Actually, Got the Time is not the lead-off track. I'm sorry. Got the Time is track 8. Time is a completely different song. Sorry.
Wait.
So there's Time. Time is number 1, and then Got the Time is the Joe Jackson song is number 8.
Does it? So is it the lead track on side 2?
It is, I believe.
Okay, there we go. Maybe. Well, they're not going to tell me that on Metal Archives, probably.
Anyway,
because I feel like
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, when you said it was the lead off track, it made sense to me, but maybe it's the lead track on side 2.
I just looked. I glanced at the track list and saw Time, and I'm like, oh, yep, there it is. But it's not. It's Got the Time. So anyway, yeah. Still a great cover, and it fits on the album. It fits on an album that's kind of dark. It sounds like Anthrax. It sounds like an Anthrax song, which is very cool.
That is a dark album.
Yep, it is.
Yep. Yeah. It's definitely Anthrax, growing up, getting a little bit into that more mature side of thrash, like a lot of bands did by the end of the 80s, earliest 90s. But it worked really good. I agree. It's one of my favorites by that.
Anthrax dropping the cargo shorts and putting on some pants.
Yep. Putting on the black outfits.
The Ninja Turtle Jackson guitar.
Not ordering pizza anymore. We're ordering a sensible salad.
Right.
Okay, so this is one that probably most everybody knows, but it's an important one to me because the original band I am a huge fan of and a huge collector of, and I used to know them personally and go see them all the time in Hollywood. And so a lot of history there. And I'm a fan of the band that did the cover. And when this came out, I was first pissed off, and I hated it because I was like, don't fuck with my band. And now I love it. I love this track. But a lot of people hate it, probably for different reasons. I hated it because I didn't want this band making fun of my band. But that band would be Celtic Frost covering Wall of Voodoo's Mexican Radio.
There's one that leads the album off.
I love Wall of Voodoo. Love that band dearly. Collect everything by that band. And I love Celtic Frost. But when this came out, like I said, and I was like, what are they doing? And I heard it and I'm like, that's bullshit. You know, I was so pissed. I like boycotted.
It is bullshit, Duane. It's bullshit.
I boycotted this fucking record for so long.
Record.
Now I love it. I actually love the track. In fact, when I pull this, it's the first thing I play. So, but yeah, if you can get past it, it'll grow on you if you let it. But yeah, it's definitely something too that completely out of left field that like we were talking about at the beginning, like where do these bands come up with the, you know, a song selection to cover? Where the hell did Tom G. Warrior go, all right, guys, let's do Mexican radio? You know, I mean, where the hell did that come from? Did he just happen to
lead
get
the album with it
or something on the radio or what? Where did it come from? So, but classic cover track that if you know, you know. So has to be mentioned. But I love Wall of Voodoo, and I, like I said, I boycotted that record for a long time. But I actually love it now. So
Right on.
Can a radio.
Eat barbecued iguana. All right, Alan.
Press on the telephone.
Let's see. Let's do this one next. I've got some vinyl sitting here. This is a newer-ish cover, last few years. Blackened thrash band, Bewitcher. Not one of Marty's favorites, but I do dig the band. And this is Cursed Be Thy Kingdom, third album, and I believe it's the last track on this one, but I'll have to double check. They closed the album out with a fun version of the Pentagram classic Sign of the Wolf. And it works really well for, you know, this is, again, blackened thrash band. They're covering a doom song, so it feels like an odd choice at first. But it's from the Death Row era of Pentagram, and you know that had a much more forceful sound to it. You know, while it's just labeled as doom, those albums with like Victor Griffin and stuff done in the '80s, they're pretty, you know, heavy shit, not just slow, doomy, sludgy stuff. So it's actually not that much of a stretch to take that song and turn it into, you know, a blackened thrash song. You know, the Bewitcher cover is okay. It's fun. I'm not going to claim, you know, it's anywhere close to the original in terms of greatness. But they really did make it fit into their style. So they get points for that. It doesn't feel out of place at all in a track listing of Bewitcher songs. So yeah, kind of a cool one for them to choose and pick. It's a classic amongst the Pentagram catalog. I've always loved the song. And it was really, one of those fun surprises. You get to the end of the album's like, and for the cover, they actually picked a banger and made it their own, and it works absolutely fine. So that'll be my pick for this round. Bewitcher covering Pentagram.
Yeah, you know, I haven't delved into that band yet, and I hear them brought up quite a bit actually in the VC. So sometime I've got to get around to checking those guys out. I see it shown a lot, so.
They, you know, again, opinions vary on them. They're in that black and thrash vein. I'd say they lean a little bit more towards just like the traditional side of black and thrash. They're not as maybe, you know, fast or ferocious or over the top as something like, you know, Butcher or, you know, Wrath or one of those bands. If you want that style to be like really more borderline out of control, Bewitcher may not appeal to you. If you want to hear a band, you know, lean again, maybe away from the thrashy side and a little bit more towards the, you know, traditional side, then Bewitcher might be your thing.
Check them out. So many bands, so little time.
Oh yeah, they had a new album come out this year, and I just never did get around to giving it much time. So it got good reviews, but the local store for some reason never got it in, which was a little surprising because they usually get that kind of thing in. So it's one that for 2024 I still got to circle back to.
All right. Well, I got a twofer here with the same band again, and this time we're going to Sweden, and we're talking about Edge of Sanity. Obviously, the Spectral Sorrows has benefited from their rendition of Blood of My Enemies by Manowar, and it's a great cover. It's a great cover because Dan sings pitch. He actually sings. He doesn't growl through it. And one thing that bugs me, there's a lot like the old Dwell Records comps and stuff. There'd be like death and black metal bands covering bands that had pitch singing, but they do it with growls and stuff. It never works for me. And I'm really glad because, Dan's obviously a fantastic singer. He's kind of known for the prog stuff in this band, but his singing voice is fantastic and his growl is fantastic. But they could have growled through this, but he kept it. Tribute to Eric Adams, clean, excellent song. It's a great pick. It fits on it's an amazing album, but it's weird. You got, some Gothic stuff on here. It's just, this band was kind of experimenting with how to break up an album with different styles, and I think that's very cool. They also did it again here on this EP, Until Eternity Ends. They covered Invisible Sun by The Police. Again, it's a fantastic cover. It's weird. It's really dark. It's got Dan singing pitch. He's not growling through it.
The original's kind of a weird track, so I can imagine.
It's a weird track. It's a weird cover, and they did a really good job on it. The thing I like about Edge of Sanity is, yes, at their core, they're a Swedish death metal band. But there was they get to a certain point in their catalog, there's an element of no fear. There's like a freedom that kind of enters their songwriting and their choices, like covering Invisible Sun. And they did such a great job on it, knowing, Dan's musical background and love for prog and Gothic and other music styles other than just death metal. It just works really well in this context. So these are two fantastic covers. And again, here's a prime example. They put this cover on the end of a 4-song EP. This is a little bit more strange because Blood of My Enemies is track 6, kind of plunked in the middle of this album. But it works because the album does some experimenting as it goes anyway. So two good cover songs by a sadly missed band.
Covering Deep Cuts by The Police is always a bold choice. That is a good quote. That's a great quote.
I have a quote too. But before I was talking to my friend Austin Lund from Panopticon. We were talking as I was picking stuff. He's like, his quote of the night was, "Boy, that Sentence did that song, The Trooper by Iron Maiden, and that is honestly the worst thing that has ever happened to Iron Maiden." I thought that was a pretty funny quote. Anyway.
Funny. Okay, so let's see. So this next one, I don't have a CD or a vinyl for to show, but in fact, I don't know where it actually lands on the album. I'm sure Marty would know. But this is kind of an interesting cover for me because it's covering a song that to me is like, don't fuck with that song. Like there's just some songs I think we can all agree that just should never be touched. Like, don't cover it. That's like Holy Land. Like, you don't go there. You don't, just leave it alone. There's nothing you can do that'll make that track any better. So don't bother. So to me, it's almost sacrilege to cover this song. And at times I've listened to it and I like it. And at other times I'm like, it just doesn't seem right. But it's Emperor covering Gypsy by Merciful Fate.
Oh.
On the bonus of this. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So I don't know where it falls on the album.
They're bonus tracks on the reissue.
Uh-huh.
They also do an amazing cover of A Fine Day to Die by Bathory. A very authentic, very good cover of that as well. Okay. But yeah, go ahead with the Gypsy. Good one.
Yeah, it's to me, Gypsy is number one. It's my favorite Fate track, so I'm probably partial there already. But at times when I've listened to the Emperor version, there's parts of it that every time I listen to it, I start to like more. But then at the same time, I'm like, what? I just don't think that song should ever be covered because it is so it's such a 10 out of a 10 song that if I were in a band as tight or as good as we would be, I can't see why I would attempt to cover that song. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. I'd like to know your thoughts on it, Marty, because I know you're an Emperor fan. So
I'm an early Emperor fan, and I think they, Isan voice really fit into that falsetto mode really well. They kind of kept true to the original. They just kept true to the song. They didn't try to black metal it up. It's a really good band covering a classic song with authenticity, and they picked a song that you wouldn't think they would pick, which I think is cool. Gypsy, out of all the songs, there's way more evil songs on that album.
Mm-hmm.
They could have picked and ran with and fit their motif a bit more, but they picked that song of all of them. A little bit more of a lighthearted song, there's a little bit more of a playful melody line in the vocals, I think, on that one. But no, I think they killed it. They absolutely killed it. They've also, on this comp, they covered Massacre from Hellhammer. So they just, when Emperor wanted to, they could do a great job with covers as well. All right, Alan.
Okay, yeah, I was just kind of like, I don't see, like I said, when I listen to it, I just don't understand why they would choose that, like
it's weird. They could have done Welcome to Princess of Hell. I mean, that would have fit within, or Night of the Unborn. That would have been a perfect Emperor cover song. I mean, there's way more evil songs on here than your standard evil woman type of track.
Yeah, and I will say,
channeling Dio.
It is very well done. I'll give that credit. But and even like you said, it's not like they changed it. You know what I mean?
They had some more creepy keyboards in there. They had that Charmin Grimlock from Tartaros on synth during that time, and he did, I think, the keyboards on. I think, again, I might have got my wires crossed on that, but yeah, there's some more horrophonic styled keyboards on there. But still, the song is really well done. They did a good job on it. Good pick, absolutely great, Alan.
All right, let's do another really, really obscure and strange choice. This is a band called Rock Brigade, and it's spelled ROKBERGADE. So they managed to misspell both rock and brigade. So bonus points for that, because it's a 1980s metal band, and you get bonus points if you misspelled your name. They're out of Houston.
Did you put umlauts anywhere on there?
They did not have umlauts. So no, they don't get that bonus point.
Damn.
They missed out on that opportunity. They released one album back in 1983, so kind of an early one for U.S. metal. It's called The Attack Is On. Good, solid metal title. The cover art raises questions. I don't own it. It's actually relatively hard to find an expensive item. But yeah, that's a cover.
Ooh, that's right out of the Monster Manual.
That is a cover. Yep. So
that is an early Dungeons and Dragons piece of illustration if I've ever seen it.
Impressive.
Yeah. And the album, again, one I have not played in a long time. I remember it being okay, and not a bad album. It never, again, it's one of those that can run a couple $100. I was just like, no way am I ever trying to track that down. It's all right, but I'm not paying that kind of insane price for it. But yeah, you've got 10 tracks. What's Simon guys here? Okay, our next GoFundMe is to raise money for Simon's new tramp stamp of the Rock Brigade.
No, that's a full back piece right there. You're getting the whole thing.
Maybe actually we need to get it like on his pecs so he can make him dance. Get that sword thing swinging around. But yeah, so you get a full album. It's 10 songs. This isn't just an EP. I should say you get 9 songs and a cover song, because track 10 is a cover. And again, you're Rock Brigade. You're from Texas. The Attack is On. You've got Dungeons and Dragons and Warriors and Monsters. You got songs. And then, but yeah, some of the song titles do make you wonder a bit. You have like Lost Without You. Rock and Roll Will Lift You Up. So yeah, some of it, Let Me See the Love. It's like these song titles are not inspiring confidence, and then you get to track number 10, and your cover song of choice is "You Keep Me Hanging On" by the Supremes.
Oh boy. Wow.
And it's like, and any chance you had of being
Don't
cold
tell him that until he gets the back piece done, and then tell him that song is.
It's like, sorry to keep you hanging on there, Simon, but yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Is that on YouTube? Because I must hear that now.
I assume, I don't know for sure. Like I said, it's a pretty obscure one, but it's not so obscure that YouTube shouldn't have it.
Got to see if it's better than the Kim Wilde version.
The other thing that I guess we'll turn this into a quick twofer, because against all odds, Rock Brigade were not the only 80s heavy metal band that decided to cover the fucking Supremes, who I've never been a fan of. They just don't work for me. You also had an Australian band. Hi, Simon. You're to blame for this one. I've mentioned this one before. We've shown it. It was a band called Vice. They released an EP back in 1985 called Daddy's Little Girl. And they decided to cover Stop in the Name of Love by the Supremes.
Man.
It's like, how are you going to be an OG headbanger when you're covering fucking Diana Ross songs? Come on, this doesn't work, guys. Did you lose a bet? If you did, welch on the bet. What were they going to do? Break your kneecaps? Actually, legend has it that one of the guys in Vice was attacked on stage by an audience member over some of their... apparently, they were a bit controversial on some things. And they actually had a fan come on stage after them back in the day. Maybe because they covered the Supremes. I don't know. But yes, two different bands. I think we know why these bands are obscure and didn't go much further. If you choose to cover the Supremes, you don't deserve to have a career in heavy metal. You just don't. So there you go. That's my rant. I'm going to calm down and let Marty have a turn.
Well, they were mentioned earlier, and just got to pinpoint one song off the Aces High single. You've got King of Twilight, which is a Nectar song.
Yep. Great
and
track.
What a great song. And, even like Cross-Eyed Mary by Jethro Tull. And again, where does Maiden put these things? They put them on singles. You've got Aces High on side A. You got King of Twilight and the Number of the Beast live version. So this is fun. You have a completely new, different set of art to look at. This is what Maiden, they put out that
B-sides themselves.
They stopped doing it. And now what do we have? We have overblown, boring records like the Senjutsu or Senjuku or whatever the hell the new album is. They could have slimmed that album down, took a couple of the album songs that didn't make it, throw it on an EP, put a cover song with those 2 or 3 tracks. This is what is kind of killing, all these bands, like these veteran bands. Metallica is another prime example. A new Metallica release doesn't need to be an 80 or 90 minute long affair. It doesn't. Cut the best tracks, put them on your album, save the rest for an EP. Bring back the 12-inch. Vinyl was riding high in popularity here not too long ago. Still kind of is. I think it's starting to wane a bit because of the pricing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no reason why Iron Maiden needs to put out a 2 CD set of all songs that sound mostly the same. They could have really streamlined it. I know I'm in the minority here. The latest Maiden was universally loved. It seems like it went on the charts. A lot of good things, and it's a great band. I hate to talk bad about them, but it's just the last album too. I like the last album better, but it's too long. They're too long. They don't need to be that long. Bring back the single. Bring back, another thing of artwork, some cool cover songs. Throw them on the damn single. Don't. Make your albums nowadays bloated and long and tired. That's where I'm at with that. But anyway, King of Twilight. I think it's a fantastic song. I have never heard the Nectar song, but I really like the Iron Maiden version of it. It sounds like a Maiden song with a really nice melody line in the center of it that's very ethereal or makes you feel like you're flying kind of thing before the chorus. I don't know. It's great. Great song. Great band. And I hate to talk because I love Iron Maiden. Who doesn't love Iron Maiden? It got to a point where these bands just decided there's no more self-editing. There's no more. Maybe some of these songs, a lot of these songs sound kind of similar, which let's save them for something else. Slim it down. Anyway, I'm ranting. Anyway, Marty, I know. Sorry, Jason. And I see Laz I'm curdling his milk right now.
Tell me how you really feel, Marty. Get off my lawn. No, I'll be honest. I actually agree with you that and I like Senjutsu. I wouldn't say I'm in love with it. I haven't been in love with a Maiden album since probably Brave New World, but I do like it. But yeah, when it came out and it was 3 pieces of vinyl, I was like, oh, here we go. And I will say, all in all, especially now that time has passed, I hate to say it because Maiden's my number 1 band, but Halloween definitely showed them how it's to be done still. So
they did.
But anyway, since I swore an oath to never talk bad about Maiden, I won't. So,
moving on. Look at him.
Okay, so let's see. This band and this album, my favorite album by this band, has a couple of covers on it. One cover is one of my other favorite bands, but at the time of this album, this band did 3 incredible covers, but 2 made it on the album, 1 made it as a single. And the band in question is Hammerfall and Legacy of Kings. This is their 2nd album and still my favorite album from this quite lengthy catalog now. But on here is a cover of Warlord's Child of the Damned, which, I freaking love Warlord, and that's still to this day, in my opinion, their best track. And Hammerfall is a band that when it comes to a metal band doing covers, it's hard to beat these guys. They have an album called Masterpieces, which is just nothing but every album they have covers on their albums. And Masterpieces collects them all into one album. So if you just want to listen to all their covers, you can go that route. Jay, you're following my thought there. So Child of the Damned by Warlord, incredible track, best track on the album. This whole album is back to back. Their version of it by Pretty Maids, the Pretty Maids track off their first album. And then they also released as a single I Want Out by Halloween, the cover of that, which is incredible too. But this is just an onslaught of an album, and those 2 tracks fit the album. They fit this band. It's just so well done. But Child of the Damned, I would put on par with Warlord's version, and back to back as well. I'd put on par with the original, both the original versions and these covers. To me, it's not like I like one better than the other. I love them both equally. So that says a lot when it comes to a cover, to either like it as much or more than the original. So Hammerfall.
They did a great job on that cover too. Really
good. So
yeah, you're right, Duane. They always had good covers. I love their they did a killer version of Storm Witch's Ravenlord early on back then too. Yep.
All right, Alan.
All right, let's do another new wave of British heavy metal one here. One of my favorite bands back from that era, Girl School. Debut album includes a song Race with the Devil, which is a cover song. It fits pretty well with their style, but you can tell it's a little different. It's a little darker, a little moodier. Early Girl School is very similar to Motorhead from that period. The bands hung out, toured together, got along famously. And Race with the Devil, it fits, but it definitely has sort of a darker vibe to it. But it's actually a cover song from a band called The Gun. They were a British rock trio in the 60s, and they had a top 10 hit with this song in 1968. So Girl School resurrected it and used it. I don't know if it was a single for them or not, but it is on the original Demolition album. And I own multiple copies of this because Duane is on. In honor of him, I pulled out the white label promo copy because I figured that was his kind of jam for sure. But
Love white label promos.
Yep, that's I figured that would be definitely in your wheelhouse. So we've got white label promo of the original Girl School album. And yeah, they do a great version of Race with the Devil. Absolutely. Girl School was good at having, heaviness to the songs, again, in that Motorhead vein. But they could also give it just a little bit of that, kind of, pop vibe, that made the songs feel very bouncy, very fun. There's a reason they got very, very popular very quickly. There was a time when Girl School could absolutely headline alongside bands like Saxon, for example. In their heyday, Girl School were a big deal. Yeah, unfortunately, there's the new wave of British heavy metal kind of dragged on, and things started to change. Girl School made the unfortunate choice to go for the more commercial sound rather than sticking to the heavier sound. And fans, of course, didn't like that. New fans did not come flocking to them when they kind of lightened up their sound a bit, and they went from being a really bona fide, hard hitting, hard drinking all female new wave of British heavy metal band, and unfortunately became just sort of a very watered down wannabe accessible hard rock product there for a period of time. But they did an excellent cover on the debut album, Race with the Devil.
All right. Well, I got another 3 for here. Same band. And we're going to talk about Voivod. Well,
there it is.
There it is. This is my favorite Voivod album. 100%. And this is such a nitpicky minor infraction, but they end this conceptual, amazing album with Batman. The theme song to the 60s television show Batman. Voivod. But they make it kind of a Voivod thing. But again, it takes me out of the story arc. It takes me out of the brilliance of this record. But on the next album, they get it very right by channeling the complete essence of Pink Floyd on the song Astronomy Domine.
And do it so well.
They do it so. You listen to the original Pink Floyd song, and it's, there's a varying degrees of wackadoo going on there. There's some weird stuff. It's Pink Floyd. That early Syd Barrett stuff is weird, which is cool. Very experimental, very avant-garde. They took that song, they captured the essence, they captured the harmonies in it, and they made it a Voivod song. And it's great. It's really cool. It's weird. It's them. And they didn't stop here. Later down the road on the Outer Limits, they cover another Pink Floyd song called the Nile Song, which is, I don't think they took as many liberties with that song as they did with the Astronomy Domine, but they did a great job on the Nile Song as well. So there's 2 instances of Pink Floyd where they really made the songs their own. And the Nile Song sits here rated track 4. Astronomy Domine is the 3rd song on this album, Nothing Face. And here's a perfect working example of how you can take covers, make them your own, and put them in the middle of your album somewhere, and it doesn't take you out of the spell. You know what I mean? You kind of stay in with them. Wow, I'm in a Voivod album. I wouldn't even have known, because at this point I hadn't heard much of Pink Floyd other than Dark Side of the Moon, The Wall, the obvious classics that you hear on Northern Michigan radio.
Stuff.
Yeah, the accessible stuff. But this experimental stuff, I never heard it, so I had no point of reference. So it's really cool to hear a good Voivod take on Pink Floyd songs, go back and listen to the originals and say, wow. It makes you appreciate their cover even more because the liberties they took to arrive at the final result. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. And we're back to Duane. Okay,
let's see. I'm going to go with, this is kind of a twofer. One's on here. I don't have the disc with the other one. But, so this is one of those bands, you either love them or you hate them. I got into the band when they first really kind of came upon the scene, and then they started to become a little too trendy for me and a little too what's that goth shop that's in every mall? What the hell's that store?
Hot Topic.
Thank
Hot
you.
Topic.
This
Or
band got
Spencer's.
way too Hot Topic for me, and then I was like, But they did 2 incredible covers. One of which is, one of my favorite bands, Blue Oyster Cult, and they did "Don't Fear the Reaper." And you would think to me that's another song like you don't cover that song, but they did an incredible version of it and did make it their own. And then for the second track, we're going to go with Chris Isaac's "Wicked Game," and the band is Him, or His Infernal Majesty. So, I don't know, love metal is what their shtick is or whatever.
Right.
But those 2 tracks, the "Don't Fear the Reaper" cover, awesome. And the "Wicked Game" cover, Chris Isaac, another one, they make it their own, and it's just incredible. So if you're unfamiliar with them, give them a listen. They're just great tracks, great covers.
Actually, in my Voivod, good pick, Duane, and in my Voivod, I should have picked Phobos as well. They did 21st Century Schizoid Man by
Yeah.
King
That's
Crimson.
right.
King Crimson, yeah.
Yeah, and that's where the first, apparently, Jason Newsted played bass on that song on the album. So that where Jason kind of first enters the hemisphere or the orbit of Voivod, and that's a great Eric Forrest record too. Phobos is a great album. Anyway, I'm rambling. Anyway, Alan.
No, it's all good. There's not too long ago, Radical Research did one of their 0.5 episodes, which are shorter, maybe anywhere from 10 to 20-minute topics about bands covering 21st century Schizoid Man. And they point out, if I remember right, Voivod's one of the few bands who have covered the song that keep that middle breakdown section, the really jerky part where there's a lot of stops and starts. Which apparently, it's such quick little bursts that it's very hard to pull off tightly as a band. And so, Jeff and Hunter were just pointing out different versions that a lot of bands skip that section on purpose because it's just too hard to pull off. But there were a couple of bands that had actually left it intact. I'm pretty sure Voivod was one of the bands that had left it intact when they did their cover.
Right on.
So for folks, if you want to really go a bit deeper and geek out on covers of that particular track, go check out that 0.5 episode. You don't have to scroll too far back through the Radical Research episodes. It was sometime earlier, within probably the past 4 months of Radical Research, I would guess. So not hard to find.
Right on.
Okay. Mentioned Pentagram and Victor Griffin earlier, and Victor, of course, eventually left Pentagram. Had gotten way too into drugs, gotten way too into evil. Sort of went off on his own again, found God and all that stuff, and that's fine. He, of course, came back. Has had a good run with bands like Place of Skulls. Has performed with Pentagram at least on occasion. But somewhere along the line, he did do some solo stuff. This, I think, is the first solo collection he put out. It's just called Late for an Early Grave. And it really is, yeah. It's a good picture of him, and I kind of like the title. It's fitting for him, someone who, again, really dealt with a lot of, bad crap and having to get that out of his system. And it's a collection of some different demos. Some of them were things that got reworked into Pentagram songs when he was in the band. Some of them were just random ideas he had after he had kind of left Pentagram and was basically getting himself clean, but also kind of left directionless in terms of where do I go next in terms of music. And some of the tracks are covers that he tried out. One that I really like on this set is he does a cover of Ain't It Fun by the Dead Boys. And so kind of a deeper one. And the liner notes are nice for this too, because he talks and writes a little bit about each song, where it came from, for the cover songs, like why he covered it, and he was a huge Dead Boys fan. But he does an excellent version of this. It's slower than the Dead Boys version, And it's got this really, I wouldn't say creepy, it's more of like a foreboding kind of vibe to it, because the song's lyrics, of course, have kind of, when the Dead Boys do it, it has kind of course a very punky, nasty kind of sneer to it. But the way Victor sings them, it's very, very foreboding. Ain't it fun? Just all these things kind of leading to self-destruction. And it just, knowing where he was at in his life at that point and the stuff, he was sort of, coming down from, it just feels like a really, really apt cover for him to have, latched onto. So, yeah, it's a terrific version. There's some other covers on here, too. He does a cover of Pusher, Iron Horse. There's at least one more somewhere. The tracks are a little bit mixed up on here. But, yeah, it's a pretty good collection. A lot of times this type of anthology can be pretty sparse. You get a few half-baked ideas and a couple of random songs that got redone better. But I actually do like a lot of the material that's on here. Granted, I go pretty deep for Pentagram material, but this one is actually worth picking up, even if you're not that hardcore into them. If you just like Victor Griffin's sound, I think he's a good guitarist. He's always kind of had his own sound. If you like him, this is definitely worth picking up, and you can find it dirt cheap. It's not hard to find. It is not expensive. I still see it on distros every now and then, and it's like $3 or $5. So it is not a hard thing to obtain.
I'm gonna track one of those down.
I think you'd dig some of the stuff on it, Duane. It's a cool collection, and again, just reading through it too offers some good insights into his backstory and the stuff he went through, going through Pentagram, dealing with Bobby's shit for years, getting himself onto a cleaner track. You don't have to. You can read about it right there. I mean, he's pretty.
Yeah, that's the band when people go, man, did you see that movie about that band Anvil? They had it rough, and it's like,
yeah. See the other movie about this other band, you'll see the truth.
Yeah.
And I mean, Victor's pretty diplomatic in the liner notes. I mean, he's not trying to just trash the guy or anything, but he's also just straight up front about just like, it didn't work out well and caused a lot of crises for me personally, and I had to get out of there, and or it was going to kill me. And he says it very convincingly, and you don't doubt him.
Hey, Ronald, thanks a bunch for the donation. We appreciate you. Merry Christmas to you as well.
Yes, Ronald, thank you so much. Happy holidays. Okay, I've gushed enough about Victor. So, Marty, your turn. You got a good one for us or one that you want to rant about?
Nope, this is a good one. You mentioned Dead Boys, and of course, my mind goes right to Sonic Reducer off of...
Awesome cover.
This is on the CD. I don't think it is on the original vinyl, but it is on the CD.
It was not on the original cassette tape either, only the CD.
Really? Right
yes, because I had the cassette first and did not have that. It wasn't until years later when I upgraded to a CD. I'm just like, hey, there's an extra song here. Oh my God, it's awesome. Wait, it's a cover. I was very confused.
And they put this on the end of the album, and honestly, it fits with in the context of the album. This is my favorite Overkill record, hands down. It is their punkiest. They're obviously very metal here. Don't get me wrong. There's some thrash. But there is definitely a punk appreciation spinning through the core of this music. And picking such a, it's not a typical song you would pick. It's not like they said, oh, let's play God Save the Queen. Derp. This is very much a dirty, sleazy song. Fits with the album. I don't know. I'm a big fan of this record.
It fits with Overkill perfectly, too.
Totally fits with Overkill. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a fantastic choice, Marty.
Nice. Yeah, Overkill, man, they've really gained popularity over the past 10 years or so too, and I think it's because they have gotten back to their roots quite a bit, and really been cranking the material out too. So good for them.
And they're putting the albums are a bit long, but they're pretty good. They're really solid. Yeah.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go with this one. Okay, a little more mainstreamy, I guess, but I want to talk about the cover of The Real Me by Wasp, covering The Real Me by The Who, and how that track on this album. Their version of that to me is like it's like Blackie's autobiography track. It just the way he sings it.
Oh yeah.
It fits him. His voice fits it. It's the perfect song for him. I definitely like this version better than the original. I'm not the biggest Who fan. I respect that band a lot and I like a lot of their stuff, but I'm not like the diehard Who fan. So it's probably easier for me to say. To me, that is where it's a cover song, but to me, it's a Wasp song. I can't help it. That's what I think of. You know, the knowledge is there. I know it's a cover song. I know it's a Who song, but to me, it'll always be a Wasp track. So, but yeah, The Real Me by Wasp.
That's a good choice.
And that's one that's really. Off.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marty.
No. I just say Blackie does sing his ass off on that song.
He does. And that's another one that's really early in the track list too, isn't it, Duane? Unless I'm mistaken, it's like the second track, isn't it?
Number 2. Track 2.
Yeah. So it's very, very early, but you're right. It feels perfect for Blackie and that album.
All right, Alan. Coffee just tastes a little bit better out of that heavy metallurgy mug, doesn't it?
Right now, it's not coffee. It's a mix of ginger ale and blue Gatorade. Don't
wow, you're really living life on the edge.
Like my metal.
There are answers to your question, but please don't ask them.
Right on.
Yeah, good pick, Duane. I had a different Wasp one picked, so I'll shuffle that to the top.
That's a good record right there, buddy.
Very good record, and nobody ever talks about it because it's in that weird mid-'90s period when it was almost a solo band for Blackie. I think this album at one point
intentionally supposed to be, yeah.
Yeah, this was floated maybe as a solo album, but then got put back under the Wasp banner. Very seventh star of him in a way.
Right.
Yeah, there's 3 covers on here, or at least 3. One's great, one's horrible, and one is kind of medium. We'll work up from the bottom. Let's see. The one I don't like, they cover Tie Your Mama Down. I don't like the song to begin with, so Blackie can't save this song for me. Moving up to the medium one, they close it. And there's to be clear, there are different pressings of this do have pretty different track lists, so some versions may not have all of these covers. But this particular copy, they close with a cover of Whole Lotta Rosie, which is fine. That's a song that Wasp can do adequately well. It's not amazing, but it's not bad. But the one that really smokes, and this is another one that just kind of feels like you said, Duane, a little bit autobiographical for Blackie, is the cover of Jefferson Airplane, Somebody to Love.
Yeah.
That song, yeah, it's been covered a lot. Absolutely. Yeah, it's been overdone. But I do like the original, and Blackie does it really, really well on here. You get that whole manic, that whole just sense of him being kind of the isolated rock star who kind of made it to the top, but the price was too high, and now there's just all he wants is somebody to love, somebody to connect back with. It fits him really well, and he does a killer version of it on here.
Yeah, the way Blackie sings with that, like he's always on the edge, ready to snap, is how I pick,
Exactly. Same here. Yeah, he's always, you're always wondering if he's going to hold it together or is he, just going to fly off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I said it, but for folks, if you're just listening, this is off Wasp's Still Not Black Enough album. And there are some really good songs, some very dark songs on here. It fits into what he was doing there in the early and mid 90s very nicely. It just really gets overlooked in the Wasp catalog for whatever reason. Some of the old Wasp albums are a little hard to find. Some of them have been out of print for a while, so that doesn't help. But
that album is a victim of the time. That's
could just be that.
Sure, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's no coincidence that the next album was the Marilyn Manson kind of makeover, which he pulled off nicely. I like Kill Fuck Die. I think he did that conversion better than most metal. He converted to that weird 90s sound better than most metal bands did. But yeah, this one probably was very out of place. That's a good point, Duane. For a mid '90s release, folks just weren't looking for Wasp-like material, sadly.
Yeah.
All right.
See.
So you mentioned a whole lot of Rosie. Well, I see your whole lot of Rosie.
All right.
I call you with whole lot of Rosie. We got Omen's Nightmares with the immortal, godly J.D. Kimball on vocals. This is one of the best vocalists in U.S. for his time, and I gotta say, hearing a whole lot of Rosie here, it's a song I like when AC/DC and Bon Scott sing it. I don't know, it just, Bon Scott to me was this, crazy street preacher type of guy, singing songs about having holes in my shoes, and you believed the words he said. And when he's singing songs about loving fat women,
Bon Scott is the
fits.
ultimate bar thug.
Yeah.
He's the ultimate bar thug.
So Omen doing it, and plus it's a pseudo live album, or it's a live song too. You could tell they're in the studio having people holler and yell. So I don't know. It's just a little out of place for this band, but again, they did it the right way. They put it at the end of an EP.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? 4-song? No, a 6-song EP. Some leftover shit. Nightmares is left over from the Curse era. You got Shock Treatment, Dragon's Breath on here, which is great. Termination, Bounty Hunter, and a whole lot of Rosie. But I love this band. I love this era of this band because of J.D. Kimball. I love Kenny Powell's riff work on here. There's a bit of Maiden in his playing.
Such an original voice, man.
Such his voices. He's kind of like the Jorn Landa of the U.S. He's got that bluesy, soulful croon, It just, this of the earth, that of the earth singing tone. He feels every word, and it rules. He's a very melodious, passionate singer, and rest in peace. Cancer is a bitch.
Yeah.
Duane.
Yep. Good call, Marty.
Okay, let's see here. Okay. I'm going to get absolutely blistered in the comments on this, I'm sure. But that's okay, because I'm going to go in defense of this. And everybody hates this fucking cover. And I don't get it, because I think I love it. I love it. Here we go. All right. Okay. Make sure I got my Kevlar on here to stop all the shots I'm about to take, but I fucking love Johnny Be Good by Judas Priest.
Wow.
I love this track.
Hercules.
I love this fucking track. When number one, it's not just a straight cover. Okay, they do make it their own. When Halford gets into the "Go Johnny Go Go," and he sings that, he carries that.
all the Kevlar in the world cannot hide your shame, Duane. You were saying. Oh, continue. Let's hear it. Let's hear it out.
Is he frozen? No.
Yeah, he's no, he's blinking. He's good. He's still alive. He's just in shock.
I do. I love this track. It's happy. It's fun. I love Rob's vocal on it. Love it. Sorry.
Don't be sorry. Sorry, not sorry.
I do.
All right.
You can have my turn, Marty.
I'll take it. I'll let you recover here.
I don't know
let's,
how to pick some fish. I don't know.
Well, here's another sign of what not to do. It happened twice. Another noise band. Corner. Punishment for Decadence. They end the album with an amazing technical thrash album, dark technical thrash, with Purple Haze by Jimi Hendrix. Doesn't fit. They tried to make it a Corner song. It sounds just sick and wrong. And then they do it again at the end of Mental Vortex when they do I Want You, She's So Heavy by the Beatles. Again, technical, dark thrash, bringing in, I just don't get it. I don't get it. Show Your Influence is great, fun and games, but you're breaking up some amazingly classic albums with garbage at the end of it. Are you better, Alan? You going to make it? Circle back around. Circle the wagon, sir. I think he's crying. Out to lunch.
And yes, this is the 12-inch version. Just in case, if the regular album version isn't good enough for you. I also have the soundtrack too.
What else is on that? Is it just Johnny Be Good, or is there other stuff on it?
And Rock You All Around the World live and Turbo Lover live.
Right on.
That's on side 2. Side 1 is all Johnny.
Okay. Well, Duane, you might as well go again. Apparently, the professor is broken.
And proud of it.
This is the first.
Okay. Now that I've gotten that out of my system and had to defend that tonight, someone had to do it.
Yep.
I'm going to go with. It's been mentioned. This is going to be a twofer. Actually, I'm just going to throw these together. And it has been mentioned. And I agree too. And that is going to be, I'm going to go with Cinnamon Girl by Typo Negative.
Great song.
October Rust, Neil Young's famous track. And I'll be honest, I didn't really recognize the original till after I learned it off of here. I'm not the biggest Neil Young fan. So to me, that was a deep track, but come to find out is one of his most popular tracks. I had no idea. So this was my introduction to that song, but phenomenal version of that on here, and fits the album. I mean, Typo is definitely something where a cover song, it's going to be hard not to fit the way Peter's vocal is and the way the band does it. It's just they can make anything a Typo song. But then I want to back it up with Summer Breeze off of this one.
Oh yeah.
The Seals and Crofts track.
Yeah, great.
In fact, I think even Jimmy Cliff did a reggae version of it. But Summer Breeze on here, just classic stuff. So, Typo Negative, definitely got to give them a shout out tonight.
All right. Those are good picks. Perfect. Yeah,
Alan, you alive over there?
Check back in with the professor.
Hello.
I might have an extra copy I can send off to you, Alan.
That would be a good Christmas gift, Duane. I think that's a gift that keeps on giving.
Let's have Duane on the show. They said, never meet your heroes. They said,
it'll be fun. They said, we'll learn so much.
Okay. It's okay. I have Duane's back because it happens to all of us. Sometimes we meant to say one thing and we get tongue tied and we say the other. So I'm here to to save Duane before everybody gives him too hard a time. What Duane meant to say was Judas Priest's "The Green Man Alishi." You can see how he got those two songs a bit mixed up, but this is what he was trying to articulate a few minutes ago before I had some technical difficulties. Yes.
Yeah, Green Manalishi.
Yes,
and
Duane, I
Diamonds
agree.
are
The Green
very well.
Manalishi is an excellent cover song. Just, I think we talked about Priest early. These were often label ideas that they wanted cover songs on these Priest albums. And okay, they come up with some interesting choices, but they always worked out pretty well for the band. There's some other examples we may bring up a little later. We'll see. But yeah, Green Manalishi, this is another one that, when I first heard it as a kid, it just stop that. Stop that now. Bad Duane. I'm trying to save all your true metal street cred right now, sir. You sit there and you appreciate the help, doggone it.
You've been away too long, Laz. You're making serious faux pas.
This is an intervention, and we are here to save you, son. But yeah, Green Manalishi is one of those songs. Didn't have any clue it was a cover song when I first heard this. As a teenager, it sounds like a Judas Priest song. It fits in this era of Judas Priest absolutely fine. And then you find out it's like a Bee Gees cover, and your world's turned upside down a little bit. But there you go.
It's a Fleetwood Mac cover.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my bad. Still a little shaky there from something that happened recently. I can't remember what it was though. So if there's this funny, blank spot in my memory from about 3 minutes back, don't know what it could be. But yes, Green Manalishi, one of Priest's excellent song covers, which is what Duane meant to say. So everybody, please forgive him for his. He just misspoke. We've all done it from time to time. Hey, in 10th grade biology, one time we were all having to take turns reading out of the textbook because it was that kind of class. And yes, I accidentally misread the statement microscopic organisms out loud as microscopic orgasms. So I understand that, Duane. It happens to us, it happened. It's okay. It's okay. It's a friendly show. It's a safe space, and we've got you back on track. So nobody will give you a hard time for accidentally saying something else when you meant to say Green Manalishi.
Microscopic orgasm. I have to tell my wife that those are a good thing.
Even the teacher broke down laughing when I did that, and I did not do it on purpose. It was just reading. My turn to read the next paragraph. Sure, microscopic orgasms, and it was one of those. Every single person in the room just started laughing all at once, and it took my brain a half a second to be like, "Why is everyone laughing?" Oh yeah, what did I just say? That is pretty funny.
Well, we're going to go for the full-on hat trick here.
Go for it.
Diamonds
go, Marty, go.
Lazarus!
This is a twofer here on this album, and for different ways. You got Diamonds and Rust, the Joan Baez cover, which, man, I love bluesy crooning Halford. Mm-hmm. This is one of my favorite Judas Priest records. I love this record. Good one. And we were talking about it earlier in the chat of Dissident Aggressor. I heard Slayer do a cover of that. I never knew it was a Judas Priest song. I'm late to Priest within the last 15 years or so, because I was always the Maiden guy. And once I started getting the Priest song albums, I'm like, listen to this. I'm like, holy shit, that's a Slayer song. Oh, wait a minute, no, it's not. So there's a roundabout way. There's a twofer cover. You got Slayer covering Dissident Aggressor, which is killer. And this right here. Yeah, Lazarus just got an E on his final exam. The professor does not grade on a curve. All right. All right, Laz. What you got? Redeem yourself. Although the typo was a perfect actually.
Oh, let's see. What do I want to do? How about let's go. This one's been mentioned too, and this is one that I actually. Here's a cover that I don't like. I just don't get it. I don't like the way it was recorded. I don't think it belongs on the record. There may be fans that like it. I personally do not. It ends side 1. And to me, it should end side 2 and just not even be on the record. But these boots.
I like that cover.
I hate that song.
It is right. Laz is right, and Marty.
Come on.
Marty's drinking the blue Gatorade now.
Yeah.
Debut record. You're a thrash band, and what? What? No. So yeah,
I detest the original song as well, which doesn't help matters.
maybe that's it, because I'm not a fan of it either, and so maybe that's
that breakdown.
That's
That it's cool. They did a really good thrash version of it. I don't know. I dig that
do
song.
a break like that in your own song. Do it, don't Nancy Sinatra.
Wade's right. Was an odd choice.
I mean, if you're going to do a fucking cover, do a cover. You know what I'm saying? Do a cover, right?
Lazarus.
That was almost through the nose.
So yeah, These Boots by Megadeth. Not a fan.
Agreed, Tim. It is way better than the original. The original's crap, but
that's not
Megadeth
saying much.
crushed it.
Yeah, that's kind of like saying fertilizer made out of manure is better than the actual manure. It's still the same shit.
Shit with corn is just bumpier shit,
Yeah. There's nothing very nutritious about it, even though there's corn in it. Yeah.
All right. Let's see what we've got here next. I like this cover quite a bit. This is not that old of an album. Destruction's been known to do some cover songs in their day, and on Diabolical, I believe it's the last track. The songs aren't really listed in a clear order on the back, but they do a really fun version of City Baby Attacked by Rats from GBH.
Yeah. GBH.
Yep. Fun song to begin with, and yeah, Destruction do it quite well. They can do those kind of, they can get that punky energy when they want to, and they absolutely blister on it. It's a really fun way to kind of close out the album. It's a little, outside their normal sound, but not so much that it feels out of place. And again, you kind of leave the album, on a fun note. So you kind of walk away from this album feeling like, yeah, that was a fun album. Even though, the album has its ups and downs, I like it overall. But, here's where ending on the cover song actually does help it kind of go out on a positive note. So, and you just gotta like, city baby, city baby, city baby, attacked by rats. They do it really well. So, yeah, they've done some of their cover songs work great. Some of their cover songs don't work for me. That's one in the Destruction catalog that I do enjoy.
All right. Well, since you mentioned GBH, I've got another GBH connection here.
Nice.
I love this band. The Accused. This is Martha Splatterhead's Maddest Stories Ever Told. On here, they did a cover of Sick Boy by GBH. And they were buddies. They went on tour together. It was during GBH's No Need to Panic era. This album and No Need to Panic came out at the same time, went on tour. But the Accused have always been known for doing covers, crossover, punkish kind of covers of classic songs. On here, on More Fun Than an Open Casket Funeral, they did Devil Woman, which is great rendition of it. Mm-hmm. On the Straight Razor EP, they do Saturday Night Special, which is cool. On this frickin' banger, Grinning Like an Undertaker, they do Boris the Spider by The Who. Very cool. And I could have pulled other instances, too, of other covers they've done, but they're a band that has a long history of doing covers, and it can be added to their albums because they do a great job of it. And it's a crossover, hardcore, metalized version of these songs. And I know this band is... Blaine is out, and Tommy and Blaine are at odds, and there's a Accused tribute band that has Blaine at the helm, and if you don't have Blaine in this band, it isn't the Accused. Sorry, Tommy. Although Tommy's riffs he's a riff meister, man. His riffs are just absolutely crushing. If you're going to listen to this band, check this one out first. Martha Splatterhead's Maddest Stories Ever Told. This is a favorite of mine. They're all good, mostly all good, except for the last one without Blaine is not very good, but... The Accused rule. They do good covers. Great band. Check them out.
Awesome.
Right. Duane.
Okay, I forgot to pull these. I actually haven't, but I forgot to pull them. One song covered by two different bands. One I really like, one I don't care for. The one I don't care for, I'll mention first. The song is "The Immigrant Song" by Led Zeppelin, covered by Dark Angel.
Oh, yep. Folks mentioned that in the chat earlier.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of that version. I don't know. They just.
I'm not a big fan of Led Zeppelin. I'll be honest. I know that's the people I say that and they're like, "What did you say?" I'm like, I don't know.
I don't know. I just think they kind of try to darken it too much, and I don't know. It just doesn't fit to me. However, Demons and Wizards covered it on "Touched by the Crimson King," which is Hansi Kirsch from Blind Guardian and Schaefer from Iced Earth. And on that album, the only problem with it on that album is it's dropped like right in the middle of the record. But man, what a cover! What a cover! Excellent version of it there. So if you were to play the two together, it's like black and white. I mean, they're so completely different from each other. But I give Dark Angel credit for attacking it, but it just doesn't fit for me. So,
Right on.
Again, though, it is one of those songs. It's like, I don't know if I'd, kind of, like, oh, let's cover "Stairway to Heaven" or "Freebird," or there's some songs you just don't want to do. I don't understand why they came up with that. But
I got a couple more coming up here that are songs you don't want to do. All right. It'll be a good segue. I'll save this one. I'll do those next. Okay. Alan.
All right. You mentioned The Accused did Devil Woman. Riot also covered Devil Woman, the old Cliff Richard standard. They did it on Born in America. Very, very overlooked album in the Riot catalog. It's kind of like, they were switching record labels at this point. This would be their last album for several years, so there are reasons that it never got a lot of attention. But yeah, it's kind of in the middle of the track list, but works really well. Good cover. The song fits, really nicely for Rhett Forrester's voice. He of course, had that kind of southern bluesy drawl that worked well, and he makes this, really captures that kind of sultry swagger that he was very good at. For this kind of song. Riot's done a handful of covers over the years here and there. They weren't afraid.
It's a seal, buddy. It's a seal, not a monkey. You're going to piss Alan off.
Don't
I've had a rough enough
break
night
Alan
as it is. It's been a rough night. Let's not. Not a
monkey man.
That would be a good shirt. It's a seal, not a monkey. Don't piss out.
With this particular version of the mascot
Metallurgy
too.
shirt.
Marty, you might have a project to work on over
We
the
have a
holidays.
project to
It's a seal.
Oh shit.
I'm trying to help you out, Alan. I'm trying to cut it off at the path before you see it, okay?
We'll sell 3 of them, but it'll be worth it. We'll sell 3 of them, but it'll be worth it.
Duane is digging himself out of the hole. But yeah, Riot's covers usually turn out pretty good, even if it's a song that's maybe not that interesting. They they covered UFO, they covered Deep Purple, of course. Well, Simon, you've got a week to reboot. You've got 1 week to reboot, son.
Oh god,
Marty, if you make the shirt, I know what we have to send in. Next VCLT package.
Yep. It's a seal, not a monkey. Don't piss out. Oh shit.
They might have a critter like that wandering around the outback. I don't know.
You never know. You never know. They got some crazy shit down there, right, Simon?
They do.
You know, in Australia, you know what a biscuit is, right?
Cookie, isn't it?
Oh, no. Don't you dare. Don't you dare. A biscuit is like biscuits and gravy. You got a biscuit, you put gravy on it.
Oh, wait.
They're called scones in Australia.
Oh wait, I'm thinking like biscuit. Like in the UK, they call cookies biscuits, don't they?
Well, they
Right.
kind of they do in Australia too, or they'll
Okay.
call it a scone, or a biscuit is a cookie, or a cracker. We've had this big discussion in our YouTube group that and we're anyway. This is a side. Sorry.
The pressing vernacular questions of our time.
Yeah, I know
Behind the scenes.
the things we waste our time with during the day. Anyway.
Is it a biscuit? Is it a cookie?
Tonight on
Is
Heavy
it,
Metallurgy, scones, biscuits, and monkey seals.
is it a scone or a biscuit? Seal or monkey? It's a confusing age we live in.
Right.
But what's not confusing is Devil Woman by Riot. Very, very good version of that song.
Yeah.
All right, Marty.
When I was a kid, like in elementary, I don't know, 4th grade, something like that, 3rd or 4th grade, that track, I remember that thing coming on the radio, the original Cliff Richard Devil Woman was like my favorite song. Oh my God, I loved that song. Such good memories to that song. Okay, let me see here.
I'm gonna step in front of you, Duane. Here,
Go ahead.
We got.
I think it's
tied
your
up.
turn, and technically Marty. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it is your turn. That's right.
Yeah, I just did Riot Devil Woman, so
That's right.
it's a Marty. What
Well,
you got?
let's do a little run here, in my turn, of course, of cover songs you just should not do. Johnny Be Good being one of them, but Duane kind of sunk that ship.
Well, unless you do it right, like Judas Priest.
Clearly,
Lazerrus.
So the debut album by Mordred, Fool's Game. You've got them doing a cover of Rick James's Super Freak, which I'm sorry, that's a hook in my head that I don't need to ever hear. And granted, the cover does fit the overall motif of this album, even though a good chunk of this record is interesting Bay Area thrash, very tight, very sharp sounding, but they also have a funk aspect to them, which comes into play on the song Every Day's a Holiday, which was a single for them, and it's not good. It's not a good look. Super Freak. God, why? Why does that song... Rick James doing it, fine. That's fine.
It's hard
It's
not
a
to
Rick
hear
James.
MC Hammer now when you hear
I
that.
know.
You what
I
mean?
know. Stupid MC Hammer. I mean, that song, it should just be a Rick James song. That's where that song lives, and that's where that song died with him. The song died with him. Great. Well, no, we got these barrier thrashers thinking they're being so cool by doing it, and it's just not. It sucks. It just sucks. Second to the last song on the album, so they didn't even want to put it last. They second to last. The song before it, Reckless Abandon's good, though. Shatter, the one before it, good. Anyway, Mordred. Duane, back to you.
I've never heard that, Marty. Now I'm curious.
There's some good stuff.
Yeah,
There's
that's
some
a
good
song that
songs
you
on
don't
here.
do. You just wouldn't, yeah.
It's a
Curious.
old noise band. Good shit.
Okay. I don't actually own a copy of this record. I just haven't picked up a copy of it. Another band with a huge catalog, so I'm just happening to be missing this one. But interesting cover. I used to like it. I actually don't care for it anymore. It did not age very well. I actually revisited it today when I listened or when I was creating the list. I'm like, oh yeah, how about that? So I pulled it up on YouTube and listened to it. And I'm like, ooh, that did not age well. Saxon doing Ride Like the Wind by
It is a
Christopher
night.
Cross.
My
Mhm.
body's waiting. Wow.
Yeah, it did not age well. But when it came out, I actually kind of liked it. So
Which album was that on? Duane?
Destiny. It's on the
Okay,
Destiny.
that kind of makes sense now. A
Yeah.
little bit. I don't mind the Destiny album as much as some folks, but yeah, I could see it kind of fitting in that era.
Yeah. I don't remember where it sits on the album, but yeah, that's the album that it's on. I know that. But yeah, there's a video for it. I remember that. So
That's the one with the giant cream-colored S on the cover, just
Yeah.
to make sure my wires. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's like the S. Put this into the S section.
yeah, we're not sure what to do for a cover this time. How about our logo S? Sure. Yeah.
Saxon were a little adrift during that period.
Mm.
Ride Like the Wind. The best part of that is the Michael McDonald. Such a long way to go. Michael McDonald. He was all over the place back in the day. Such a long way to go.
Playing it today, and it was the video too, that I watched, and there's just something about, Biff Byford trying to be serious through that track, trying to look all. It's just, yeah, did not age well. That's all I want to say. It just didn't age well. So, and again, back to what we were saying, like, interesting choice. Like, I know Biff has this thing about, riding motorcycles and being free in the wind and stuff like that. But it's like, really? The fucking yacht rock track? I don't know.
but it wasn't yacht rock then. It was just,
Oh, yeah, it was. It just wasn't called that then. But that's what it is. Yeah.
All right.
So, yeah.
Okay, Alan, what you got? Hey, John, what's up? We already covered old Wall of Voodoo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we had to work through that one. Oh, let's see. Up next, I've got a good one. You
heard Johnny Be Good by Judas Priest, John?
If you just tuned in, John, you're lucky and you're welcome. Don't back up and watch the past 25 minutes. Unless you really, really need to know the difference between a scone, a biscuit, a monkey, and a seal. Let's move along here. Sinner, Matt Sinner's old project, the project that doesn't make him a ton of money like Primal Fear does, but it's done a lot of good albums over time. This one, Nature of Evil, kind of helped get the band back on the map in the late 90s, and it included a really, really good cover of Thin Lizzy's The Sun Goes Down, which is an excellent track by Lizzy to begin with.
Yeah, it is.
And Matt really does it justice on here. Excellent version of it for sure. Captures that same kind of just, very sort of, dark, slightly sad, but also slightly ominous aura that the Thin Lizzy version has. Sinner has done, I'm pretty sure, at least one or two other Thin Lizzy covers. And in recent years, Matt has really kind of steered this project closer and closer to a Thin Lizzy sound. Like around this period when they were on Nuclear Blast, he was going for something a bit, heavier, a little more muscular, heavy metal sound. But more recent albums like Crash and Burn or Tequila Suicide, he is not afraid of just embracing his inner Thin Lizzy fanboydom and having some songs that sound disarmingly similar to Thin Lizzy. There's been a couple of songs on those albums that I had to actually look up. I'm like, is this actually just like maybe some Lizzy B-side, or maybe it's something off one of the albums I'm forgetting it. Maybe it's off Chinatown because I don't know the track list to Chinatown well. And I was like, nope, that's actually a Sinner song. But the man likes him some Phil Lynott for sure, and he's done really good versions on some of their cover songs. So yep, definitely one that I always think of when I think of good cover songs that I like.
Does Sinner, does he sing on those records too, or does he have singers come on?
I'm pretty sure if he hasn't always sung, he has sung on most of them.
There's been multiple guest singers, I believe, through the catalog with Sinner. Very underrated band.
Overlooked, yep, I would agree for sure. And yeah, there's been a ton of folks through the years in and out, but I think usually I'm checking to see if he's had like any other notable vocalists there, because there are big chunks of their catalog I still don't know well. But yeah, usually it's Matt on vocals and bass, 1980 to present. So there you go. I guess he's been doing that.
What? Didn't he have? Maybe I'm thinking of some different band.
Yeah, he definitely has had guest spots in there. Yeah, they've gone through a ton of guitarists.
Oh, you know what I'm thinking of? Axel Rudy Pell.
Okay, yeah, he was in the band for a while, but not singing. I think he was.
What's up, Brendan Von Doom? Good to see you, man.
Hey, Brendan.
Hey.
I think Rudy Pell was. No, maybe he wasn't in Sinner. I'm not seeing his name, although again the list goes on and on.
Yeah, no, the Axel Rudy Pell band has had multiple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of one of the drummers he had, because it was he also he drummed for Halloween as well for a few albums earlier in the 2000s, and then he drummed on one or two of the Sinner albums. Who the heck am I thinking of? It's not Herman Frank. There's like one. Marty, who are your various Halloween drummers? Help me out here.
Uli Kush.
Uli. There we go. I'm pretty sure he's on at least one Sinner album somewhere. But anyway, we're diving deep into former Sinner members, so we're definitely getting off track here. So anyway, we'll move on and just say that yes, Laz is correct. Sinner's a bit overlooked. They're just not the heaviest band. You know, they don't have the thrashy chops of a Creator or Destruction, and they don't have, you know, the speed of like a Rage or anything. So I kind of get why they're not as popular, but still a good band for sure. Anywho, Marty, what you got? We're getting closer to midnight, but we got time for maybe a couple more rounds if folks are good with that.
Yeah. I'm still in the what not to do. What you should not do is a metal band for a cover. And we're going to finally get to the Beatles portion of the evening. Well, the second time the Beatles have been mentioned this evening. And we're going to talk about Eleanor Rigby off of Realm's Endless War.
Came up in the chat earlier. Yep.
Let's take a Beatles song and make a thrash version of it. Oh, that's great. What a great idea. Let's put it right in the middle of the album. 12 songs. Let's put it right at number 6. God, talk about just a joy kill. I mean, I'm not a Beatles fan. I have respect for what their contribution to the music. There's a few songs here and there that I like, but I don't get the Beatles. I just don't get the Beatles thing. It's like the Beatles and the Stones. I don't get the love for either of these bands. But anyway, thrash band from Wisconsin. I think they're from Wisconsin. Doing Eleanor Rigby. It's unnecessary. Please stop. I think it's the one reason why this band broke up.
Song too, I swear.
Right. Yeah. I probably could have found some other ones too that in thrash that did it, but all right. Duane.
That's a very fair good call.
I've got 2 left, and they're both pretty common. But I'm going to go back to Wasp again real quick and talk about Don't Need No Doctor. You know, this was a hit for them. There was a band doing a cover that became a hit, you know, for the band. Ray Charles track. Catchy at the time. You know, this was Wasp getting a little hair metal-y, you know, on this album. But you know, at the time it was a good video, it was a good track, catchy, earworm, you know, and definitely different than the original, I guess, you know, but not anywhere near up there like The Real Me, you know. That's more of a serious track. This is more of just a poppy kind of song, but it was a good cover, made them a lot of money, so good time for the band. But
all right.
And then I got one more. Do you want to do that now or just wait till the next one?
Well, zip around here. I can grab mine, come back around. Yep.
All right. Let's see. This is an odd one. I don't know a ton of this band's catalog. They've done a lot of stuff over the years. And when I got this, I didn't realize it had a cover on it until it came on and started playing, because the font on the back was a little weird. I wasn't really paying that much attention. You know, I just had it on the background. I was like, wait a second, are they actually doing that song? We are talking about Krieg. This is the Black House album, and it's near the end. It's not the last track. It's 11 out of 12. They do a cover of Venus in Furs from the Velvet Underground. I've never been able to get into Velvet Underground. It's just, I don't connect with it at all.
No.
I know it's one of those things that at the time was, sort of, genre breaking, that, it, had all these drug references and scandalous references, things that you didn't really hear people singing about in music at the time. And that was, a huge breaking these taboos and all that kind of stuff. But, I didn't hear the Velvet Underground until, like the early 2000s. By then, it was not a big deal to hear that in music. So it didn't ever mean anything to me in that sense. Venus and Furs is a pretty famous song of theirs. I've heard it. It's just like, sure, whatever. I actually like the Krieg cover of it. It seems to fit in pretty well with the general aesthetic on this album. It's just, again, it has, that, very kind of, slow pace, kind of creepy, trying to have something slightly magnetic about it. And for whatever reason, it just kind of comes together here. So not something I would have picked. If I had noticed it on the album, I definitely would have been thinking to myself, oh God, they covered a Velvet Underground song. The fact that I didn't know it was coming in the track list, I guess, it just gave me a chance to hear it without, worrying about it ahead of time. And it's like, that's actually not a bad version of Venus and Furs. So, okay, thumbs up, and good job to, I forget the main guy's name in Krieg. Who's the dude in Krieg, Marty?
Neil Jameson.
Jameson, yeah. So, thumbs up to Jameson for taking a song that I'm not big on from a band that I just can't get into, and making it work. And again, it feels like a slightly strange thing to have an American black metal band cover, but it does work in the context of this album. So, an unusual one, but I will be on board with that take on Venus and Furs.
Nick says Melvins do a crazy cover of Venus and Furs. They also do an awesome cover of Going Blind by Kiss.
Okay.
The Houdini album. Great cover.
Melvins is a band I've heard a little of here and there, but I've never really dived into. I know a lot of folks really love them.
Under, Ronald put 6 Feet Under Graveyard Classics. Didn't 6 Feet Under do a Maiden Hallowed Be Thy Name cover, I think?
They did a bunch of AC/DC ones, I know.
Yeah. They just did Hair of the Dog on the latest album.
Wow.
And it is everything. What you're hearing in your head right now is exactly what it sounds like. It's one of those moments where it's so bad it's good, I think. Or so good it's funny, or so funny it's bad. What you're hearing is what it is, for sure. All right, Marty, go ahead and take your penultimate turn.
The last of my Do Not Do This Ever comes off of pretty much an abortion album for this band, or this project, Bathory, off of Octagon. We've closed out the album with Corthon's stirring rendition of Kiss's Deuce with the drum machine. And really, that's apropos that it's at the end, and because this album does drop a deuce. It really does. It totally drops a deuce. And the one before it, Requiem, is decent. It's a decent thrash record with really bad sound. This here is just during this time, Corthon's doing solo albums. He's just putting some songs on those solo records are okay, but there's just a lot of garbage. He was is influential and a godfather of several different styles. He did do some missteps over the years. And that's just a prime example of, because your dad owns a record label and you have a studio you can go into, doesn't mean you should release everything. Again, this goes back to Iron Maiden and Metallica and all these bands that put out, they don't self-edit. When you're working on shit by yourself, I can see how it happens, because you've got no one there to bounce ideas off of, and you've got such a big legacy behind you where people highly regard several different eras of your catalog. Maybe there's, wanting to try to break free from that or try something different, or this whole album sucks, and so does their cover of Deuce. And which just sucks because Corthon or Ace or Thomas, he was a big Kiss fan. So because I'm collector scum, I have to have every single Bathory album. I collect things that I hate because I have to have the whole thing. I archive for no reason. My kid doesn't give a shit. Anyway, someone at Goodwill someday is going to walk into a holy shit moment of all these records that I've squirreled away over my life, and no one in my house gives a shit about. So
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, Cradle of Filth. That's what I'm thinking of. Thank you.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Bob's got you covered. Yeah. Yeah. I recently revisited that Octagon album because I hadn't heard it in 20 years. And some part of my brain was thinking, is it really that bad? Everyone, I mean, is it as bad as I remember? And I played it, and it is every bit as bad as I remember. This wasn't like it just got exaggerated into the legend of how awful it is. Like, no, it really is that horrible.
It's not even worth a deuce.
No, it is not worth a deuce. I don't know what the exchange rate is right now, but I guarantee it's not worth it.
All right, Duane, what you got?
Yeah, it's like don't do Strutter either. I just
yeah.
Okay. Last one I'm going to bring up is I'm surprised no one's really brought this band up yet tonight because they've done so many damn covers. But the one I chose, so many to choose from this band, but this one because obviously Blue Oyster Cult, but Metallica.
Mm-hmm.
Their version of Astronomy is just phenomenal. They make it. They take a I don't want to say a dark song, a mystical song, I guess, a spacey song, and make it dark. And they do it so well, and it's just such a good cover. I really like what they did with that. And I'm not the biggest Metallica fan. I mean, the early Metallica, absolutely, but their version of Astronomy is just phenomenal, and I think it gets buried by like Turn the Page and stuff like that. But I think it's probably their best cover. So I'm going to end on that note. I'm surprised we haven't really brought up Metallica too much tonight, but
I was saving them.
Okay.
Good
gotcha. Deal. Marty's got it covered.
So,
right,
Wade
Alan.
knows. Thanks, buddy.
Alan.
All right, I'll do two quick ones here. One not so good, and one that I like a lot. And the not so good one takes us right back to Judas Priest. Unleashed covered Breaking the Law. Unleashed should not have covered Breaking the Law.
No,
I've heard it.
Yeah, you're not missing anything.
Yeah,
it's
bad.
I mean,
Stupid.
It's not a hard song, and it's not like Unleashed was used to playing overly technical, complex stuff and just couldn't figure it, couldn't dumb it down or something. It probably should have been a song that Unleashed could have covered, and boy, it's just a completely flat dud of a cover. And this one too, I kind of stumbled into by accident. I forgot it was on this album. I picked this back up, cheap recently, playing it through. It's like, okay, yeah, I remember a lot of this, and got to that, and just like, oh God, I completely deleted that from my memory, and now it's back. Yikes! So yeah, that's not how you cover Breaking the Law. But let's end on a good one, an obscure one, but a good one. Kind of going outside of metal boundaries. This band, Italian, kind of proggy death metal. I've always pronounced it November. It might be Novembre. I don't know because nobody talks about the band, so I never hear anybody say the name. I kind of refer to them as like an Italian Opeth, and don't take that and run with it too far, but it at least gives you an idea of where they operate.
You can see that in the cover.
Yep, and one thing that they make really cool, interesting music. The vocalist, I like his voice, but they have a bit of a hard time writing lyrics in English. Sometimes, the words come out very odd. But anyway, for our topic here, right in the middle of it, they do a cover of Cloud Bursting, which is from Kate Bush's The Hounds of Love album.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful version of it. Now, it's not as good as her version, of course, but it's a really nice take on the song. And it actually fits, again, with their, they're not afraid to do some, different ideas on songs and such. So it doesn't feel that out of place, but it is a very, very good rendition.
Look, Alan, I was just spinning it.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. That's a good album. I was playing some Kate Bush not long ago.
What's the title of that?
Cloud Bursting. It's got
the album.
Oh, for the November album, it's their Novemberine Waltz album. don't remember what year it came out. Yeah, they've got a pretty long discography going back into like the mid to late 90s. And yeah, I like most of what they've done over the years. But yeah, it's just a very bright, very clear cover. Really, really nicely done. It kind of captures the spirit of the Kate Bush version really, really nicely. Nice. Even though they aren't, performing on her level, of course.
I love Kate, man. She was the first real original,
Yeah, I don't know a lot of her catalog. I recently picked up another album. I haven't really given it much attention yet, but yeah, she's obviously very, very talented, and like you said, kind of unique artist. And then it was another one that I didn't really catch that it was a cover song at first, but then at some point I was replaying, Hound's Love. I was like, wait a minute, I know this song from somewhere. And it's like, oh, okay, then I kind of had to put it together backwards. So, yep, a good one, a weird one, but that's what I will wrap up on. And so
I think you too, Tony.
I think Marty is going to cover the 800-pound gorilla in the garage that we haven't talked about yet.
Here we go. I'm
just gonna touch on it quick. Duane already did, but I gotta say this here is. I like that this covers Metallica to me are a great cover band. They really are. They kind of take liberties with some of the stuff. They make it their own. This whole album this EP is great. And I love the fact that they go into it like, we're just going to go in and knock these covers out. Not very produced by Metallica. When this sounds fantastic. This sounds better than Injustice for All. It just does. Where they probably spent bazillions of dollars and fucked their new bass player in the process. And here they just went in. You could hear Jason. They crush it on these songs. Helpless. What a great rendition of that song. Small Hours, The Wait. What a great song. The whole thing rules. They've done
I love how that thing fades out on the twisted, out of tune Run to the Hills by Maiden.
Yeah.
Just a few bars of it, at the very end. It's just hilarious.
They've done Great Thin Lizzy, Whiskey in a Jar, Bob Seger. They've covered a lot of stuff, and all of them have been pretty cool. So I'm just going to rip through some of these here. Atrocity off of the Longing for Death. The end of this, they cover Archangel, which was a death song off of some rehearsal demos. Do a great job on it. This is their last good album. Great death metal record, ending with a death cover. This was mentioned early on in the night, but Creator Out of the Dark Into the Light, they do Lambs to the Slaughter, which is a Raven song. And again, they did it right. They put it on an EP, a 5-song EP. Very cool. Some live stuff and a couple studio tracks. Good shit. And want to throw this up here. I mentioned him earlier this evening, my buddy Austin from Panopticon on Collapse. The last song, The Beginning of the End, is an Amoebix cover, which makes this unique. Is actually Rob from Amoebix sings on it with Austin. Austin does some background stuff on it, but Rob does the main vocals. That's pretty cool. And before, of course, that guy lost his mind. And close out with this. I was going to talk about this earlier, but decided not to because it's just too complicated. But this Catch the Rainbow, a tribute to Rainbow. Have you seen this, Duane?
I have not.
This is it's funny. The hype sticker on it says features Uli Kush of Halloween. It also features Andy Darris. It also has Viketh on here. It also has I believe Marcus Grosskopf's on here. You've got
all together or just split?
They're all come in and do like this. They're all doing rainbow covers, but it's like dudes from the German metal scene. You got Henyo from Gamma Ray comes in and does some stuff. Hene Basse, I don't know who that singer is. He sings on quite a few of these songs. Andy Darris sings on Catch the Rainbow. It's got members of Halloween and other members. No Kiska on here.
Okay.
No Kiska. But some really good rainbow covers on here. What songs do we have? We've got Kill the King, 16th Century, Green Sleeves, Stargazer, Lost in Hollywood, Catch the Rainbow, I Surrender, Spotlight Kid, Man on the Silver Mountain, Rainbow Eyes, Eyes of the World, and Still I'm Sad. So it's kind of a there's
Best
a little
early
bit of
rainbow. Oh, okay.
yeah. It's a pretty cool comp, bunch of different power
Rainbow. I gotta
metal
find
talent from Germany. Good stuff.
Nice.
And
Thank you. I will track that down.
that cleans off my slate. I got them all. Got them all in.
Nice. So we were all pretty close on the amount. That's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, worked out well.
Here, I was thinking I probably didn't pull enough. Excellent.
You nailed it.
Okay.
Well,
Wow.
awesome. Duane, you rule, sir. We love having you on. It's great to see you as
Thanks for having
always.
me on, guys.
Anytime you're available, holler in the coming year. We'll make it happen. We'll come up with something and
Absolutely.
talk and have fun. And
Sure.
what have you got coming up? I know Christmas. You probably are not thinking much about the channel, but is there anything you want to? Everybody, link in the description to Lazarus's channel. He's one of the
Yeah,
longest
I've
running
got,
YouTubers on the YouTuberverse, in the metal YouTube.
Yeah. What makes Laz's channel really cool too, if for those not familiar with it, is he has really huge collections of great bands, and he goes really deep on getting like the different Japanese press ends, different different not just posters but paraphernalia and stuff too. And so if you like a particular band and you want to really see a wide array of the different things they've made over the years, some of his videos detailing his collection, you won't see anything else like it on YouTube. Nobody else has that extensive a collection for some of these bands. So it's really great and interesting to see how many different versions and variants and singles and again other pieces of band related stuff too that he has. It's a really amazing collection.
Oh, thanks, Alan. Appreciate those kind words. Yeah, when I went to rebuild most of my collection, I decided to do things a little differently. Where before I was really big on quantity.
I was going to say you're a quantity over quality, and you had quality,
variation,
but you would go into Goodwill and fuck up a Goodwill rack, and I'm like, you're showing stuff. I'm like, why did you buy that? That's garbage.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's just the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah, I'm much more now into my certain bands and collecting as much as I can for that band kind of thing, and I enjoy it more too. Where before, you can have 10,000 records, but how many are you really going to listen to? Where I spend more time with one band and all the variations of those records and listening to the differences between them and just going through enjoying that part of the collection, I guess, so to speak. So, I mean, everybody's different, but yeah, so that's how I go to do it. And yeah. And thank you everybody in the chat for the kind words as well. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Love being here. So it was a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
Alan, what you got coming up for Tuesday on Let's Talk Metal?
Well, let's see. For Christmas Eve, I've got like a 45 minute video showing off a ton of really cool Australian heavy metal show flyers that Jeff from Medicant Media.
You mentioned that in your last video.
Yeah. There were so many I couldn't fit it all into that video. So I'm like, I'll do a part 2. And I didn't want it to linger and not show them off because it was a really cool batch of stuff that he sent. I want to make sure they get a chance to share them with other folks. So yeah, I kind of walked through a very big stack of flyers for 45 minutes. And then the following week, that'll be Tuesday, New Year's Eve, I will do my best of 2024 video. I'm going to approach it a little differently this year. I checked. I've listened to just over 80 new releases this year, and I'm going to cover absolutely all of them in 30 minutes. We're going to fly through the entire list, do just kind of quick summary, 30-second summary on every new release I heard this year.
I take it you're not sound biting those then.
Nope, won't be any sound bites at all. It's just be like, here's the next one. Here's a quick thought about it. Because a lot of them I've talked about at other times. And rather than, sitting there and trying to be like, well, I could put together slideshows, or I could haul all of them out or something. As I say, you know what, I'm just going to do this, very rapid fire style, mention everything, whether good, bad, or in between, give, a quick summary of it, move on to the next one, and let everybody see kind of, the full body of work that I checked out throughout 2024. But in between then, we'll be doing some other things on metallurgy. So Marty, back over to you for some show notes.
Coming up next week, we've got, we had a busy week this week. Check out the Nile discussion. Check out the album club where we talked about Howling Sycamore with Jason McMaster from Dangerous Toys and Watchtower fame on vocals. Next week, Wednesday, the album club is going to be here on Christmas Day. We will be talking about Whiplash, Power and Pain.
Classic of the holidays.
Classic of the holidays. Yep, bringing in the Yuletide cheer with some East Coast thrash. And we've got Friday, we're doing our year-end thing, aren't we?
Yes, next Friday night, everyone who's been contributing content to the Heavy Metallurgy channel, almost everyone that can make it will be here. Yep. Should be about 10 of us on stream. And we will all be doing our top 10 albums of the year. That's another reason I'm not doing just a top 10 video for myself. I'll be doing that with the Metallurgy folks on next Friday. Last year it got a little out of hand. We're not doing that this year. Yeah, we are going to move through the top 10s a bit faster. We're going to get started on it much faster too. We're not going to drag our feet like we did last year. Then if there's time afterwards and folks want to hang out and chat, we'll bring up some other fun topics and questions.
Sure.
But we will get to everyone.
Started in 2023 and ended in 2024. Is that how long it went?
Pretty much.
Yep.
It was like a 6-hour stream last time. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. It was our own fault. We structured it a little too weird. But this time we will hit the ground running. We'll get everybody through their top 10 favorites of the year. And then we'll see what other things we'd like to discuss. So, should be a very fun time. Also, in the near future after that, Marty is checked in with Scott, the Rock Scout, and we have his blessing to launch the 2025 metal tag. So Marty and I will be working on that. And we haven't figured out all the details, but we'll probably launch it on New Year's Day as we did last year. Folks seem to enjoy that. So if schedules work out, we might do that. Maybe we'll do a New Year's Eve thing instead. We'll see. Yep. But that is in progress. And again, we offered to, Scott couldn't do it last year, so we picked it up. We checked with him. He was like, hey, it's your ball, Dave, by all means. But he's like, nope, you guys go right ahead and run it again. So big thanks to the Rock Scout for signing off and letting us tackle it one more time. And we'll try to come up with a fun list for everybody to enjoy.
Yep. Cool. And lastly, we've got the Heavy Metallurgy Discord server. Go check that out. It's been a fun message board style place to. This is the first time I've ever done it. My kid did it. He told me about this a long time ago, and some other folks. Scott is one of them here. Scott Nick mentioned we should do it, and finally pulled the trigger. It's up and running. It's been a lot of fun. It's basically all the folks you see in the chat are over in Discord talking to each other.
Yeah, I gotta get over there too. I didn't know about it till tonight, so I gotta come out over there as well.
Link in the description. We'd love to have all of you come and bring your stories, bring your calls, bring your recommendations, what you've been spinning, all the fun stuff. It's a pretty good time so far. So
I gotta say one thing real quick, and that is that I know you've said it before, but I'm always in the chat when it's said. So now that I'm here, and that is that, I've been in other live streams, okay, with other groups. And I have got to say that the Heavy Metallurgy chat is by far the best people, the best, coolest chat that there is.
Oh,
seeing your guys' comments, everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. You guys rock, man. It's an absolute pleasure. So
it is a great group, because people will contribute. They'll help out. They'll correct us when we've slipped up on something, and even when folks disagree, they're actually mature adults about it.
Because most of them are old. Us old folks are more mature than you get a bunch of young people in here. They're all trying to out cult each other.
It's nice to be able to have a sense of humor and not be offended, right?
Mhm.
You know, I mean, so
Yeah. You can say like, oh, I hate that one, and everyone's just like, no one's going to be like, oh, well, let's cancel you. It's like, oh, that's if you don't like it, that's cool, not a big deal. Some folks will, some folks won't.
yeah.
Full
Always-
agreement. You guys are the best chat on the damn metal YouTube verse. You guys rule, as always. And Laz, thank you. Ellen, thank you. And we will see you all. Happy Merry Christmas, all that good stuff.
Yep.
And we will see you on Christmas Day. We'll be here. The Metal Club, the metal album, the album club will be here. So
Don't
if you're
forget to
bored,
put your milk and cookies out there.
yep. If you're bored and bloated from all the cookies and ice cream and milk or whatever you eat on Christmas, we'll be here for you. So
And remember,
Last word.
be good, or Santa is going to leave a lump of coal chamber in your stocking.
there you go. Cheers. See y'all later. See
Bye,
you on the
guys.
Discord server. Bye.